two, one. What's happening, video world? And to all my video viewers, my Dubbies, as I like to call you, welcome once again to the channel. It's bringing you complete entertainment all rolled up in one. Okay. I am the one and only one, DJ B Long. Yeah, and I will be dropping this Sports Phanatics show on you. I got some special guests coming at you tonight. Y'all make sure y'all tune in. They got some serious sports talk coming up at you. We're going to do this to you for the next hour or so, depending on how long-winded they might get. And we know they can get long-winded. DJ B Long up in the house, Sports Phanatics. And our subject for today definitely is going to be all about the sports. And we're going to kick this thing off. We're going to kick this thing off today. We're going to be talking about one of the hottest subjects in Florida, even around the NFL for right about now. Straight up Sports Phanatics, DJ B Long, and I'm going to introduce you to my guests, my special guests tonight. Matter of fact, I'll let them introduce themselves. We're going to roll like this. Sports Phanatics, DJBLongStudio.com. Make sure you lock it in. Get on that telephone, tell a friend, tell them when, tell them then, and then again and again. Where they need to be locking this mess up in. First up, what we got? Mike Love, what's going on, my brother?
What's good, man? How y'all doing? What's happening? I'm here, Mike Love. What's happening? Normal guy, talk sports. I'm your next door neighbor that you can kick it with and talk sports with. So I'm here. What's up? Talk to me.
All right, we ready for you, Mike. I hope you're ready to bring it, man. We bring this thing like fire. And I'm talking about earth, wind, and fire. You know what I'm saying? And we got Mike on the line right now. We got famous Seamus. Is that anything like that famous Kentucky Fried Chicken, or is that just famous Seamus? What's up, Shane? Can't hear you, brother.
Oh, Lord.
Seamus, you there? Are you there?
Is the police at the door?
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
Police at the door.
Is the police at the door?
Oh, Seamus. All right, well, listen, we're gonna give you a chance to try to figure that out in a sec. In the meantime, we're going to go over here to Tricky Nicks. Tricky Nicks.
What's happening? Tricky Nick here, man. Formerly known as the coach. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you guys for checking in with us. We got a lot to talk about today, and hopefully you guys get well informed and well entertained today. Tricky Nick.
All right. Tricky Nick's up in the house. As mentioned, you got the one and only DJ B Long. But tonight, I'm just going to be bingo tonight for right now. And we got, once again, Mike Love. Seamus, you there?
We got famous Seamus. You got to be infamous.
I'm telling you.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me now?
We hear you. Yes, sir.
Oh,
yes, sir.
We pushed the wrong button. My bad.
Well, listen, it's been your bad the whole time, boy.
Yeah,
we told you not to push no button.
I know you did too.
Told this man don't push no button.
Can y'all can see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
We can't see Bingo. Yeah, Bingo. I can see Mike.
We only can see Mike. That's it.
Oh, okay. You know what? Let me go ahead and change that angle. There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Ready to go. What's going on? It's your boy.
All right, well, we just want to make sure you're going to be with us for the duration, man, because, you getting everybody a little nervous.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
All right. That'll work. Well, listen, let's go ahead and kick this thing in the rear where it needs to be kicked. First off, hottest thing going around in the NFL, sports talk, Even those that don't know nothing about sports, they ain't even talking about this. If you live in South Florida, you even talking about this at this point in time. And what we're talking about, Brian Flores, the firing of Brian Flores. Now, we got some different takes here. And keep in mind, it's all about your opinion. Nobody can tell you that your opinion is wrong. We can disagree with it like a, you know what, but we can't tell you it's wrong. First up, anybody want to take the helm up front?
Well, since he got the Dolphin shirt on, I think he should just go ahead and just fire off. Go ahead.
Wait, listen, I go, but I'm pretty sure I might be the Lone Ranger in this category. But I totally agree with the Miami Dolphins. And I say that, listen, man, and I say that well informed. You know, listen, man, I got the stats right here to back me up, everything. But first, let me give you my opinion. My opinion is that, well, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. They said that there was the guy couldn't get along with anybody. They said that he was at odds with everybody in the building. Said they did more than enough to try to accommodate him, and he still was at odds with everybody in the building. Now, if that's the truth, I can understand why they had to let Brian Flores go. You know, they said it wasn't about the football. That's what they said. But as famous Shaman said, if he was 12-4 or something to that extent, or maybe 11-6 or whatever, then maybe they would have put up with it a little more. But to have a losing record, well, it's not losing record, 9-8, and he was 10-6 the year before. That lets you know how much chaos had to be in the building for them to consider terminating him. So, in my humble opinion, that if there's an issue with communication, and that particular the lack of communication is causing conflict in the building, like any other job, if you can't communicate with people in your job and you fall out with your boss, like every other place of employment, if you have issues with your boss and you have an issue communicating, that's a possibility you're going to be terminated. So, in that sense, I agree with the Miami Dolphins. They had to make a move to try to get some continuity in the building, try to get everybody on the same page. And obviously, he was the odd man out. And I think he overplayed his hand. He probably thought that he had more power or more cachet than what he actually had. When it came down to it, the owner sided with the general manager, and they had to let him go. So in that sense, I don't fault the Dolphins. And we'll get into some of these statistical information, talk about his numbers, his wins and losses, his inability to put together a great coaching staff, which I think was probably the main reason why he was terminated. And but we'll get into some of that later after, we'll let everybody else state their opinion, and I'll come up with the numbers after that.
All right, we got you there, Tricky Nicks. Tricks are for kids, as they say. All right, not a problem. And the Dolphins just tricked a whole lot of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, they did.
Tricky Nicks fine on that. But anyway, anybody? Okay, listen, we got Tricky Nicks version. Well, how he feel about it? Who want to go up next?
I'll go next. Go ahead, Shannon. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Luke.
All right,
Mike, you good?
Listen. As much as I want, I'm not really a Dolphin fan. First and foremost, let me just get that out here. I'm not a Miami Dolphin fan, but I do follow the team because I'm in South Florida. Now, I don't agree with Brian Flores being fired, and I know Nick gonna come with all the stats and statistics about what this, that. But I think he kind of hit upon it. He already hit upon it. If Brian Flores was 12-4, sitting in the top of the AFC East, will he still be so, disagreeable? Will he still be at odds in with everybody? And I don't want, to get it. You got to have a great working relationship. But when you good at what you do, you good at what you do. And that man, they started off a little slow, and then he picked it up. So when you see somebody, getting better, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt in mind. Like I think they was a little quick on the trigger with him. I think I would have held on to him because now you gotta replace him. I don't know. We should have held on to him.
All right. Okay. All right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just don't run across good head coaches. Now, I'm not saying he Bill Belichick. Like he not that, but he ain't my man that just got fired in Chicago. He ain't that bad. You know what I'm saying? He got some wins under his belt. Yeah, Nagy. He ain't Nagy. He ain't Belichick, but he ain't Nagy. And if they don't lose that game against Jacksonville, we'll be having a different conversation today because the Miami Dolphins probably would be in the playoffs.
Okay, you have to if they didn't lose the game against Jacksonville, you have to listen. If they didn't lose the game against Jacksonville, you're right. He was the head coach when that happened. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, he was the head coach.
Well, you're right. You're right. He was the head coach when that went down. But that's a small sample size. If you look at the, like you said, okay, over his 3-year tenure, it was 24-25, one game under 500. But how many head coaches over their first 3 years can even say they was one game under 500? I mean, you can go down the list. There's quite a few of them. They couldn't even get to 20 wins, 15 wins. Matt Nagy, you talk about him. Well, listen. Well, you know what? Let me famous Seamus. Let me let you see what you got to chime in on in regards to this.
Well, Mike stole the words right out of my mouth. I mean, the coach at the end of the day is all about what the coach is doing on the field. And I know, like Coach said, hey, there's a lot got to do with as far as the organization go and how you get along with people. But listen, you're not the San Francisco 49ers. You're not the New England Patriots. You're the Miami Dolphins. We still trying to replace Don Shula. We still trying to replace Dan Marino. Those years are long gone. We finally got us a coach in here that's worth anything. Anything. And at the end of the day, you got to understand what you got. You got to weigh the good with the bad. Yes. If you didn't get along with people, okay, I understand that. Then you got, me personally, you got to find a way to fix that problem. Also, keeping a good head coach because good head coaches ain't falling off trees. You're just not going to run and get one. So, the Miami Dolphins, me personally, yes, they made a mistake by firing Brian Flores. But I'm also give you one thing they made a mistake by doing too. They made a mistake by keeping Chris Grier, the general manager. Because if I got two choices, I'm going to fire my head coach or general manager. Which one you think is harder to replace? I'm thinking the head coach is harder to replace than the general manager. Mm-hmm. So the Miami Dolphins, listen, I told coach, hey, we don't know what's going on. Everything right now is speculation. Everybody throwing things out there saying, hey, Brian Flores couldn't get along with the organization. He couldn't get along with Grier. Some people saying some of the players or whatever. Then turn around and see some of the players, they love Brian Flores. But I'm gonna give you this. When Brian Flores got fired, everybody was surprised. Everybody was shocked. That should tell you everything you need to know. They didn't go in there. He wasn't one of the coaches that was gonna get fired at the end of the year. That everybody had a good feeling that was gonna lose their job. Everybody just knew after Brian Flores won 7 or 8 last 8 games a season to finish with a winning record after starting 1-7, taking the team 10-6, which is good enough to go to the playoff game any other year. But just so happened how the season fell last year, 10-6 didn't get you in the playoff last year. You can't fall. People say, he didn't go to the playoff last year. But he finished 10-6. Show me any other year where 10-6 don't get you in the playoff. So, me personally, man, they made a major mistake. They might find themselves putting themselves behind another 5-6 years trying to replace somebody like Brian Flores. And that's me.
That's your take, and you're going to stick to it, huh?
Stick to it, man.
All right.
Listen, he almost got me. Listen, if I didn't live in South Florida and I didn't watch the Dolphins play and I didn't watch the news, he might have sold me on that argument. You sure you didn't take no law class or something? Because that was a pretty compelling argument. But I live in South Florida, so listen. Either I'm gonna believe you or my lying eyes. I'm gonna believe these lying eyes. You know, listen. Let's talk. Let me ask you a question, right? We're gonna talk about coaching and records and stuff like that, right? I'm gonna give you a record, right? I have a coach. He coached for 3 years. He has his record in 3 years is 21-15. He went at his last 6 games. He went 5-1 in his last 6 games. Should we keep that coach or should we fire that coach? He has a 3-year record is 21-15. His last 6 games he went 5-1. Would you say we keep that coach or fire that coach? Anybody?
I would say you keep him.
I would say you
keep him.
He's trending up.
Yeah, 21-15. Yeah, of course.
Okay, well let me give you that coach's name. You tell me you still feel the same way. That coach's name is Manny Diaz.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Hello?
Hold up. Wait. Hell no.
You said what the last time? You said
Bad analogy.
Hold on.
bad analogy.
Hold on.
You were doing good. You were doing real good until you brought up Manny Diaz's name.
Hold on. Listen. The point that I'm making is we say we're gonna keep Flores, right? Manny Diaz is 21-15 this 3 years tenure in my University of Miami. His last 6 games of the year this year, he went 5-1. But everybody was crying for Manny Diaz to lose his job. Everybody. When he got fired, was it this public outcry? Was everybody surprised? No, they wasn't. Because it was Manny Diaz. See, right now, we're not making decisions based on football. We're making emotional decisions, and I understand. Brian Flores, there's only, at the time, only 3 African-American coaches in the NFL. We feel like African-American coaches don't get a shot. We feel like one that's who we believe is doing a good job, that how dare you terminate him when there's only so few of African-American coaches in the league? The reality is the Miami Dolphins have been so poor as far as records, wins, and losses that we are content with mediocrity. Just being real. As you said, Bingo, before, I think you said his record was what, 24-25?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's look at some numbers right now. So we understand that Manny Diaz went 21-15, won 5 of his last 6 games, and we couldn't get him out of town fast enough. So now let's talk about Brian Flores, because what we're gonna talk about.
Hold up. I don't know if that's a fair comparison, because Manny Diaz was up against a dynasty, a legacy. Flores was not up against that.
Hold on.
He was mediocre. If you want to look at it, what that team did.
Bingo. When you're talking about a legacy, Miami Hurricanes haven't won anything since 2021. The last 20 years, the last 20 years, the Hurricanes have been putrid. Just like the Miami Dolphins. Just like the Miami Dolphins. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
The Hurricanes, the last 20 years, the Hurricanes have been god awful. Just like the Miami Dolphins. So when you say Manny Diaz is up against a legacy, not something. He's dealing with the same situation that Brian Flores is dealing with. But before I go there, but let me throw some numbers out here, because see, I don't want to deal with emotion. I want to deal with, and as I told famous Seamus yesterday, we have to look at things from a general manager perspective and owner perspective when you're dealing with the Miami Dolphins. All right, you're not you're looking at operational issues, and you're also looking at wins and losses, and whether or not it's worth it, right? And we all agree that if he was 12-4, 11-5 or something, and there was peace in the building, then maybe more than likely he wouldn't have got terminated. But we know there's chaos in the building. So there's chaos in the building, and we're looking at all information that we have. So let's look at numbers. We're talking about, Seamus said before, he went 10-6, right? In 2021. 2021, their strength of schedule was tied for 27 in strength of schedule. They had one of the weakest schedules in the National Football League when they went 10-6 and still didn't make the playoffs. So let's talk about everything in this totality. 27 strength of schedule, still didn't make the playoffs, had an opportunity to win, go to playoffs, and they won the last game of the season against Buffalo, a conference rival, and got massacred. Didn't show up at all. Defense didn't show up. Offense didn't show up. Nobody showed up. They one game to win, to get into the playoffs, last game of the season, and got totally embarrassed. Right? So let's talk about that. Brian Flores, the head coach of that game. So let's talk about this year. Strength of schedule, 21. Strength of schedule. The 21st strength of schedule in the National Football League. Started out 1-7. Finished out 9-8. They won. I think I believe they won. Let me.
What you mean 9-8?
No, they season.
No. Well, you're right. They started out 1-7, but they made history in the NFL.
Okay, we're gonna get into that though.
They won 7 straight and 8 out of their last 9. They was 8-1.
Okay, let me say this. Okay, 8 out of the last 9. Out of the 9 teams they played, one of them made the playoffs. The New England Patriots. That's the only team made the playoffs that they played.
Beat them twice during the season. They beat them twice during the season.
Okay, let me finish. That's the only team out of the 9 games they played that made the playoffs. Everybody else has a losing record. Do you understand this? Everybody else has a losing record. They beat the Jets twice. The Jets have a record of 4-13. They beat the Panthers. The Panthers is 5-12. They beat the Saints. They beat the they beat the Panthers. The Panthers 8-9. The Giants are 4-13. They beat the Texans. The Texans are 4-13. They beat one team with a winning record. That's the Patriots.
And not just one team. They beat Bill Belichick, New England Patriots. And they beat them twice during the season.
Okay.
Matter of fact, they beat them 4 out of the last 6 times. So,
the thing about it, but here's the argument. You just bragged that they won 8 out of their last 9, right? And when I tell you 8 out of the last 9, the only team they beat with a winning record was New England Patriots. Everybody else had a losing record, didn't make the playoffs. So now your only saving grace is that the team they beat was the New England Patriots. They were supposed to beat everybody else. Everybody else that they played, they were supposed to beat.
They were supposed to beat.
Right. Okay. Absolutely. So, Mike. So when you want to brag that they have that they won 8 out of the last 9, understand this: that the majority of teams they played are drafted in the top 10 of the NFL draft coming up this year. That's how horrible they were. That's how horrible they were. So when we're gonna judge Brian Flores, you got to look at everything in its totality. Everything. They started out 1-7. They started out 1-7. Their last 9 games, they only beat one team with a winning record.
Well, again, you've heard all the time. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and that's what they did. That's what they did.
Jacksonville.
I think what's happening, man, is that what people are when whoever's been down on the Dolphins. I think what people don't understand is that when Brian Flores got the Dolphins job as the head coach, you got to understand. I don't care about who they beat or who they played. You got to understand the situation he walked into. This team was in shambles. This is one of the worst teams in the NFL. So if you're talking about somebody, so basically you're talking about a head coach coming into a full rebuilding situation. Like Dolphins just ain't had to rebuild their defense. They ain't just had to rebuild their offense. They had to rebuild the whole football team. I'm talking about everybody got to go. When Brian Flores walked in the door, he looked at that roster and say, in order for us to be a good playoff contender football team, none of these guys on the team right now can't be on the team. We plan on winning. So that's what he did. He did a rebuilding job. So when you're doing a rebuilding job, you can't look at who you play. Yeah, when you're doing a rebuilding job, you're going to lose to sorry teams because you're a sorry team yourself. You're going to lose to teams that's playoff contenders because you ain't on that level yet. So, what Brian Flores did as a what he did as a head coach, Brian Flores overachieved. And what happened was that Tennessee last year, people looked at Tennessee on it better. When the Dolphins shouldn't even been 10-6 last year. They shouldn't even been 10-6 last year. Dolphins wasn't a 10-6 team. The coach made them a 10-6 team. So they was overachievers last year. So they went from 10-6 to coming into this season to people thinking they should be what? 11-5? No. They were never going to be 11-5 team this year because they wasn't that good. They're still in a rebuilding mode. But man, how long Manny for correct me if I'm wrong. But Manny for Brian Flores there what 3 years
3 years?
Yeah.
3 years.
3 years.
So you can't compare Manny Diaz to Brian Flores. It's totally different. Totally different. Manny Diaz was there what, 5 years?
No, 3 years.
Manny Diaz was there only 3 years, right?
He was there 3 years.
Manny Diaz was at the Miami Hurricanes for 3 years.
3 years. 3 years.
Okay, 3 years at Miami Hurricanes.
The same amount of time, the same length of time in Brian Flores.
I'm finna give you the difference. I'm finna give you the difference. This is the difference between
Yeah,
Manny
please
Diaz
do. Please
and Brian
do.
Flores.
Please do.
Manny Diaz lost games he was supposed to win. That's the difference. When you lose to correct me if I'm wrong. Who that was, Mike? FAU?
I will.
FAU?
I will.
They lost. They lost. Then they played a team this year that they barely beat. They shouldn't even been in the building with them. Manny Diaz did not take them to. He didn't win a conference championship. He didn't win a conference championship. He took them nowhere near the BCS playoffs. You talk about Brian. So I look at Manny Diaz as an underachiever as a head coach for the Hurricanes, and I look at Brian Flores as an overachiever from what he did from last year to people thinking his expectations as far as like last year goes to this year. So it's a totally difference, man. You can look at, like you say, the eyeball test don't lie. Eyeball test tells you that Brian Flores is a hell of a head coach. He won't have a problem finding a job. Trust me.
Mike, you want to chime in, Mike?
I mean, I hate that you put Manny Diaz in this conversation because you already know how I feel about him.
Not even right.
You know what I'm saying? I have no love for Manny Diaz, but it's for other reasons that necessarily don't have nothing to do with that. But anyway, again, with all the stats and statistics that you laid out, that I agree with. You know what I'm saying? But my problem with that is you finna take him out of service, and now who do you go get? Because if you on this, this Jim Harbaugh pipe dream of him coming down here and righting the ship over there, good luck. Have at it. But that is not the answer. So you finna take out Brian Flores and just be prepared to get Jim Harbaugh. That's all I'm saying. Be prepared to go down.
They're not getting Jim Harbaugh. They're not getting Jim Harbaugh. That's not happening. That's not happening. Because the owner of the man.
Who do you get?
I think.
Whoever you get. I agree. Whoever you get.
Okay, but listen. I think we can have a discussion about who the next coach should be. But I don't want to get off whether or not why we should have kept Brian Flores. And why they were right in allowing him to send them away or to terminate them, right? And I just want like I said, we the numbers don't lie. Whether you agree with the numbers or not, the numbers don't lie. If you're saying even though we consider the numbers that we should have kept them, that's your opinion. But what I'm saying, based on the numbers, right? Based on the numbers, I don't believe that it is absolutely ridiculous that they let him go based on the numbers. The numbers don't say that it was just lunacy to terminate him. The numbers don't, the stats don't say that. And then another thing that I'm gonna tell you that the ownership had to look at also, and we talked about this before off air. One of the responsibilities of the head coach is to put together a qualified coaching staff, especially when you draft a young quarterback who's going to be the face of your organization, right? You take a quarterback 5th overall. You know that quarterback is going to need some coaching, hopefully development to what we believe is all pro, right? Let's look at what Brian Flores' inability to hire a staff. That's one of the biggest question marks in his ability to lead the Dolphins in the right direction. Let's look at it. He was a head coach for 3 years. In 3 years, he had 3 different offensive coordinators. In 3 years, he had 4 different offensive line coaches. In 3 years, he had 2 different defensive coordinators. He could not put together a staff. Now we're going to talk about how could this have possibly impacted Tua. Everybody knows I'm not a Tua fan, right? I wasn't a Tua fan when he was in Alabama. I think it's hard to evaluate Alabama quarterbacks because they have so much talent on their team. But let's not lose sight that this guy has only been a quarterback for 2 years. Last year was his 2nd year in the league. All right. So in his 2 years, think about this now. In his 2 years, he's had 2 different offensive coordinators. In his 2 years. In the last year, he had co-coordinators, but the quarterback coach was calling the plays. The quarterback coach that was calling the plays was the offensive coordinator for Western Kentucky last year. He has a quarterback coach that's calling plays in the National Football League who has never done that. He has two co-coordinators who has never called plays in the National Football League. This is Tua's second year, not his third year. This is his second year. We know he split time first year. This is his first time starting the full season. And he was saddled with two dudes that never called plays in the National Football League to be his coordinator. And he had a quarterback coach that was actually calling plays who never called plays in the National Football League. So again, when we're looking at the Dolphin management, we're looking at Grill and Mr. Ross making a decision. They're taking all this information in totality. So what we're just looking at the football part of what we see on the field. They're looking at this guy's inability to put together qualified coaching staff. They're looking at this dude, this confrontational demeanor that's having problems with everybody. You know, we're looking at, we just lost two Pro Bowl players that couldn't get along with him in Mika Fitzpatrick and Larry Tunsil. They're taking all this information into consideration. And then you put out that the guy actually has a losing record. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't like, again, like we say, they're not taking all this information saying this guy has a winning record. All this information, inability to put together staff, that we see that the quarterback is not developing the way that we want to develop. This guy isn't bringing anybody to help the quarterback develop, and he's in competition with his boss. He's in competition with assistants. Everybody, there's a revolving door as it pertains to his coaching staff. We're losing Pro Bowl players and Mika Fitzpatrick and Larry Thompson. We got to trade them because they can't get along with the coach. They had to make a decision because you couldn't keep going the way that it was going because there was lack of communication, and that was hindering operation. Now, the other question that Mike put forth is that I don't disagree. If you let go Brian Flores, you should have let go Grill. That's a thought. But don't sit up here and give me an argument that is absolutely ridiculous that the Dolphins let go Brian Flores. I don't see it. The statistical data doesn't show it. The revolving door on the coaching staff doesn't show it. The lack of development in Tua doesn't show it. Losing to Jacksonville doesn't show it. Losing to a god-awful Atlanta Falcons back-to-back behind Jacksonville doesn't show it. So when you tell me he won the games he's supposed to win, he didn't win against Jacksonville.
But the Dolphins, when you say
Atlanta Falcons had one game. He lost to Atlanta Falcons.
Okay, but when you say losing to those teams, you act like the Dolphins was some type of juggernaut.
No, you saying they were. You said they were 10-6. You said they were overachievers. That's what you said.
No, exactly. So
how could you be an overachiever and lose to Jacksonville?
Listen, you can be an overachiever and lose.
How could you be an overachiever and lose to Jacksonville? Jacksonville has the #1 draft pick in the National Football League.
Listen,
how could you be an overachiever and lose to the worst team in the NFL?
Dolphins had last year.
How can you be an overachiever, Mike? Can you correct? No, Mike, can you tell me? Can you tell me how could you be an overachiever and lose to the worst team in the National Football League?
Well, on any given Sunday,
I say overachieve.
You can lose.
No. When I say overachieve, no. When I say overachieve, when I said overachiever, I meant the 10-6 year. That's what I meant. I meant achieving on the 10-6 year. That's what I mean. That's what the problem is. They overachieved last year, finishing 10-6. I think they should come in and do better when they're actually going to be. No, they're going to be who they are. They were who they are. They were who they are this year. Last year they overachieved. This year they were who they are.
So they regress. So they regress.
No, but listen. Let me.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I listen to you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Brian Flores to a rebuilding team. You got to take all that into consideration. People, like I said, they're coming into this year. Oh, you shouldn't lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The year before that, they got the basically was having the same round draft as the Jaguars and all the rest of those sorry teams. So they got another team, talent. They're inexperienced. Your head coach, first year head coach, and then you 10-6 with this on the second year on a rebuilding team. He finished 10-6. Going into the third year, what do you expect to happen? You want him to finish 12-3? But if it's anything worse than 10-6, then he's regressing. No, that's not being fair. That got opportunity. I'm not talking about off the field issues. Where everybody was saying is that for on the field issues. So what Nick's saying is that I agree with him. There's from everybody off the field issues, not being able to deal with organization being hard to get along with. Being able to off the field issues is what fired him. What that man did on the field, as far as the head coach did on the field, as far as the head coach go, taking over an organization slums and bring them back to 10-6 last year when they were around that. Come on, man, you don't fire the coach if you're just talking about on the field issues, because like Mike said, if they was 12-6, we may not even be having this conversation. But you know what? Off the field issues supposedly got him fired, so now you can feel issues and put together and say that's why they kicked him out the door.
Listen, and I'm not disagreeing with that, because the Dolphins had never said that the decision to let him go was strictly a football issue. They never said that. They clearly was saying that it was his inability to get along with people and to put together quality coaching staff.
So we should be bringing on. So we should be
prerequisite to win.
So on the field issues.
Hold on, I can't hear both of y'all.
I'm just saying, getting along with the people in the management or administration service parts of the building or the complex. I mean, the head coach's responsibility is to put a winning football team on the field. His job really is not there to make sure that everybody's kumbaya. You know what I'm saying? He did what he was supposed to do. Now, I kind of agree. As a matter of fact, I'm leaning more towards the fact that it was Chris Greer's problem. Because remember, when Chris Greer first became GM, who was the first coach he hired? Adam Gase. Now, did Adam Gase make you do flips?
Jesus Christ.
We know what he did.
Wow.
Nothing.
Wow.
He didn't get that team on a trending mode or upscale mode that Brian Flores did with this team going up.
All about good players.
Huh?
All the players. I said they got all about good players.
New York, what did he do?
They got rid of every good player we had.
You look unmoved.
I didn't hear you, Seamus. Mike, what you got to say about that?
Now go ahead, Bingo.
Listen, man. I'm like this. You know what I'm saying? Because, again, I try my best to look at the results on the field. And, again, I'm not a Miami Dolphin guy. I watch them sparingly. But I did think, based off, what I was seeing, that with what he was working with, because I'm looking at could you, with that quarterback playing the way he was, up and down, it didn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? With that offensive line, which we know ain't the best in the National Football League, receivers, we don't know if Devontae Parker gonna even play. You hit with Waddle.
Mm-hmm.
Waddle in the tight end, what's his name? Gesicki. But you literally had no running game. You had no running backs. 1 week, God bless him. We bringing Duke Johnson off the practice squad, from Houston to Miami, off the practice squad, and he coming in starting running 400 yards. God bless him.
Superman.
You know what I'm saying? And, with that offense, I don't really know what else you would expect from him. Like, the fact that he won. Now, I understand they played, the Jets twice, and then the Giants, and all these people that are absolutely horrible. I agree with you. You should beat all those people. However, with that offense, it's a godsend that you even did that. And I think more of the credit need to go to what, on his side of the ball, which Flores is a defensive guy. And when you look at PFF and all those other defensive rankings, the Miami Dolphins are at 11. or higher. So again, I felt like he was trending more up than he was down. And I just think he pulled the trigger a little too quick, baby. Now, if we was having this conversation next year and the Dolphins were still stagnant and nothing was moving, then, hey, you got to do what you got to do. But in year 3, and I'm looking at them 10-6, they went 10-6 the year before, granted. They went, 9-8 this year, right? But you still have one side of the ball that's performing well, which is their defense. Their defense has been playing lights out. Nobody can get on here and say that the defense that the Miami Dolphins ain't playing wasn't good.
That defense is a playoff defense.
Top 11, top 15 defense in the National Football League. Now, I know what Beanie finna say. They've been playing trash. I get it. I think the quarterbacks, other than Lamar Jackson, every quarterback they played barely had a heartbeat. What you get? Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Cam, Ian Book. You get a lot of bums. I do agree. However, they had to come out and play. Can
you? Okay, Mike. I hear what you're saying. Tell me what the defensive numbers. Can you tell me what the defensive numbers are against quality quarterbacks? Because you go to PFL. Hold on, you go to PFL. You want to pull out these statistical data. But if I'm not mistaken, I think Tom Brady put up 40 on him in the third quarter, and Tom Brady came out. If I'm not mistaken,
Tom Brady put up.
But we're talking about how great the Dolphin defense is now. When we talking about great defenses show up show up in big games. We're talking about Josh Allen. That's why the numbers that Josh Allen put on. All right. So when we're talking last year, they went 10-6 last year, right? Buffalo averaged 35 points a game against them last year. Averaged 35 points. Played them 2 times, 35 points. Oh, let me finish. Played them 2 times, 35 points a game. They just put up another 30. Put up another 30 on them when they had to win to go to the playoffs. This same talented defense. The same talented
Buffalo is a Super Bowl contending team.
Listen. Okay, so don't tell me how great your defense is when they're beating up the third string quarterback for the Saints. Don't tell me how great your quarterback is when they beat up the Jets quarterback who has the worst QBR in the National Football League. Don't tell me how good your quarterback is when they're beating up terrible quarterbacks, second and third string quarterbacks who has no business of starting. Tell me how great the defense. Listen, I'm a Dolphin fan, but I got to keep it real. I want to see them when they show up against Tom Brady. I want to see them when they show up against Josh Allen. I want to see them when they show up against Aaron Rodgers. Tell me how great they are when they show up. Tell me when they get a quarterback. Listen,
when they show up against the quarterbacks you just
when they up against Super Bowl contending teams.
What happened?
Right.
When the defense show up against a Super Bowl contending team, absolutely.
But listen,
you mean when they show up against a Super Bowl?
Right. That's when you know. You have a good defense when they show up against Super Bowl caliber talent, Super Bowl caliber teams. Now when they show up against 9 of their last 8 games, everybody has a losing record. Everybody has a losing record, and you want to tell me how great the defense playing when the 8 teams that they played didn't make the playoffs. Let's look at the quarterbacks. The Jets. What's the Jets starting quarterback name is, Mike? Zach
Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
What's the Panthers? Who's the Panthers? A starting quarterback.
When the Dolphins played them?
Yeah.
Cam Newton.
Okay, washed up Cam Newton. Who's the Giants starting quarterback? It wasn't a starter. Thank you, Mike. You don't even know his name. Thank you. That says enough right there.
Was it P.J. Walker?
Huh? No, you don't even know his name.
P.J. Walker. I think
but for the Giants, you don't even know his name.
P.J. Walker.
Hold on, let me finish. Now let me finish.
Listen,
who was the Saints? Hold on. Who was the Saints starting quarterback?
Ian Book.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Who was the Texans starting quarterback? David Mills.
Wow.
Right. So these are the starting quarterbacks that the Dolphins faced when they was on this this 8-game winning streak, whatever you want to call it. Won 8 out of 9
Let me
games.
ask you this,
Not
cuz.
one. Let me say this. Let me say this. Though.
How,
Let me say this though.
let me ask you this though.
Okay.
Keep in mind that on the defensive side,
Right.
do you rate Tua so much above those quarterbacks you just mentioned?
We're not even talking about Tua right now. We're not even talking about Tua. Let me address. I will address Tua. I want to just. But right now, since the defense was thrown out there, we want to just because the Miami Dolphin defense don't play against Tua. The Miami Dolphin defense don't. They play against the opposing. They play against the opposing. They play against the opposing team's quarterback. So we're going to talk about Zach Wilson. We're going to talk Zach Wilson, P.J. Walker. We don't even know who the Giants quarterback was. Ian Book, the Saints quarterback. We're going to talk about Davis Mills. Those are the Dolphins. Those are the Dolphins, the quarterbacks that the Dolphins defense faced in that run that you're talking about how great their defense were. All those teams have top.
Nobody said great. Nobody said
hold on.
Nobody said great.
We're talking about how great a job Brian Flores did. How great of a job Brian Flores did. So let's keep talking. So we just dispelled that shit, that crap about the defense.
I want to talk.
God awful.
No, it ain't been dispelled. Nah.
Go ahead.
It ain't been dispelled.
Go ahead, man. I have some more numbers to throw out now.
Yeah, we're gonna get to.
Oh, okay. We know about analytics, but when you get on that field, it was a different ball game. Go ahead. Mike?
Well, Beanie, I would say this.
What I'm trying to say is,
I
I'm trying to say.
So yeah, Mike. Let Mike get in there, Seamus.
I would say this. Against Tyrod Taylor, against Lamar Jackson, because they did beat Baltimore, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson was up and down. But out of that group, Tyrod Taylor, Lamar Jackson, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton, P.J. Walker, Mike Glennon, Zach Wilson, and Ian Book, right? The Dolphins defense showed up. They did what they had to do.
I don't know how you say that with a straight face, man.
Because
I don't know how you say that. I don't know how you say that with a straight face.
They did what they had to do.
You gonna try to convince me that they showed up against Ian Book? You gonna try to convince me that they showed up against Mike Glennon? You don't try to show me that they showed. Because listen, you gonna try to tell me that they showed up against David Mills? You gonna try to tell me that they showed up against Zach Wilson? Those are the quarterbacks. Those are the quarterbacks that you trying to tell me they showed up against. Why you can't tell me they showed up against Tom Brady? Why you can't tell me they showed up against Josh Allen?
Listen, because we can see your whole defense against you against Tom Brady. Okay, you want to throw Tom Brady out there? You want to throw Aaron Rodgers out there? You want to throw all these top Hall of Fame quarterbacks?
I just want you to be honest, man. I'm a Dolphin fan, but I'm not. Listen, but I'm not gonna do things based on emotion, man. I love the Dolphins. I think the defense, and actually, me and Famous Seamus had this conversation before the season started. I told Seamus I think the defense is overrated.
Am I coming through clear?
I think the defense is overrated.
Coming through clear.
Mike, when you look at statistical data, right? You look at it when we start talking about, and say, I know, and I see you going on the computer. Tell me where the Dolphin defense ranked in yards. You understand what I'm saying? You look at yards allowed and all this type of stuff, right? And I want you to go back to last year. Don't just go back to this year. I want you to go back to last year. Because yards allowed, right, and points. If your yards, if your defensive yards are somewhere in the top 10, and your points allowed in the top 10, then you can say you're probably a pretty good defense. But if you're allowing, if your yards allowed is 27th, and your defense up, no, you're the middle of the pack defense. So let's just be real about what we're seeing about the Dolphins. A lot of times we get all emotional about these fans, man. I love the fans. But come on now, we're not going to distort the fact because Brian Flores is the brother. Listen, I want the brother to succeed. But he didn't do a damn good job as far as putting the staff together. He didn't do a damn good job as communicating with his boss. He didn't do a good job.
Let me ask you this tricky next. Do you think the final decision was Brian Flores as far as putting together his OCs? He's pretty much a defensive coordinator, but he's head coach. Do you think he was the one that put together the coaching staff regarding I don't even know if they had a quarterback coach to try to coach Tua. But from what I understand is he was adamant of not taking Tua in the 5th round. He wanted Justin Hurts. Well, not Justin Hurts.
Okay, well,
Jalen Hurts.
That's what he wanted.
okay.
But it wasn't his decision. Okay?
Hey, Vito, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear
But
you.
you trying to make it look like it was his decision. And at the end of the day, I think Brian Flores said, he said, F this. Man, I'm trying to build this team. We're trending upward. I got this team. You talk about the first 3 years of 24 and 25, but if you look at the last 2 years, it was 19 and 14. So he's over 500. He's the only coach that done beat Bill Belichick 4 out of 6 times. And he beat him 3 times in a row. And he beat him the last game of the season this year when New England had a chance to win that division. So you can't tell me that this coach didn't know what the hell he was doing, and because he couldn't deal with the people up in the front office or the people in the administrative building. This coach was doing his thing.
I never said he didn't know what he was doing, and I said
I think what we got to get.
Go ahead, Seamus. Go ahead, Seamus.
Go ahead. I was trying to go ahead. No,
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead and talk.
what I'm saying is that when you start talking about all these they beat, what I'm saying is that if you taking over a rebuild team and you trending in the right and you trending in the direction, you're not going to beat the Tom Brady's. You're not going to beat Josh Allen's. You're not going to beat the Aaron Rodgers because these you're talking about these are Super Bowl contending teams. They have better quarterbacks than you have. They have a better team than you have. They have a better defense than you have. Period. These are Super Bowl contending teams. So no, you're not gonna beat those teams. But what you need to be beating, you need to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Like the Jacksonvilles, like the Jets, like all the teams that's picking in the top 5 in the draft. You gotta beat those teams in order to be trending in the right direction. So you're gonna meet that Brian Flores in 3 years, 2 coach.
Seamus, you going out? You can't understand.
Me personally, no. Can you hear me?
Your volume coming in and out.
Yeah, you going in and out.
Like you're in a bad spot or something.
Go ahead.
I got the headphones. Hey, Mike, can you do me a favor? I might be mistaken. Did Jacksonville beat Buffalo this year?
Damn near.
No, I think they did.
They beat Buffalo.
Jacksonville did beat them.
I think they beat them. So listen. Okay, so you can tell me that the Dolphin defense is so great to beat all these other teams, but the Jacksonville Jaguars, who again may have the number 1 pick in the draft, can beat the Buffalo Bills, but the Dolphins can't. So you want to tell me, like really, you want to tell me how great a job?
I can tell you that.
Let me finish though.
Yes.
You want to say how great a job? Well, you tell me. Well, the Dolphins not going to be the Super Bowl team. They're not going to be the Super Bowl caliber team. They're not going to beat the Tom Brady's. They're not going to beat the Josh Allens. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. But you're going to tell me the Jacksonville Jaguars can, and the Dolphins can't.
The Dolphins beat New England Patriots.
The New England Patriots. The New England Patriots does not. The New England Patriots does not have a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. They have a rookie quarterback.
They beat the Ravens.
What I'm saying.
They beat the Ravens.
Listen.
They beat the Ravens.
The Ravens didn't make the playoffs. The Ravens had to lose a record.
You don't think the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender? You don't think the Ravens are a Super Bowl contender team?
What their record is this year?
I'm not asking you. Do you think the Ravens are a
No,
Super
not
Bowl
this year.
contender?
They're not. They had so many injuries. No, they're not this year. They didn't. They have 8 and they got an 8-9 record. I'm not making that up.
Now
They played.
They do.
They played. Hold on. They played this year. They played this year, and the record showed that they're not a Super Bowl caliber goddamn team. Not with all the injuries.
They played a lot of games without their MVP.
They played without Lamar Jackson. They beat.
And I said that they had so many injuries that they're not a Super Bowl caliber team. They're not a Super Bowl. But the Buffalo Bills are a Super Bowl caliber team, and the Miami Dolphins haven't beaten them in 2 years.
They were Super Bowl caliber team when the Dolphins beat them. They had their whole squad when the Dolphins beat them. They were hurt at all.
How many games they won? How many games have they won after the Dolphins beat them?
Because Lamar Jackson missed what? About 3 games,
right,
4 games ago.
How many games?
Last time.
4 or 5 games.
Even before that game, everybody was talking about the injuries that Baltimore Ravens had. Even before that game, they were talking about the amount of injuries that
they
the
was
Baltimore
healthy when
Ravens
the
had.
Dolphins played.
They was not healthy. They was not healthy.
Who they was out?
Quarterback was out. Both of their starting running back was out.
The Dolphins played at the beginning of the
offensive
season.
line was injured. Everybody was injured. Everybody was injured against Baltimore. You can go put up the information yourself. But everybody talked about the injuries that Baltimore had all year long. Baltimore had the worst
MVP quarterback.
Yeah. Right. Baltimore had more injuries than any team in the NFL this year. We're not gonna argue that. If you want the Baltimore argument, I give you the I give that to you, right? But what you cannot continue to look at things from a fan perspective. What I'm saying is that we all agree it wasn't just about what happened on the field. When the Dolphin management team looked at everything, I'm pretty sure they took everything into consideration. And based on the information they had,
that's what I say.
And I think one thing you said earlier was that they went backwards, right? They went from 10-6, they went backwards this year. That's called a regression. That's called regressing. And if they believe the reason for the regression was the inability to communicate or the conflict that was going on between the head coach and everybody else, it is easier to remove that one person than to remove everybody else.
Well, let me ask you this. You say you talk about regression, cuz Tricky Nicks.
Right.
Do you consider going 8-1 in your last 9 games of the season regression?
You had a worse record.
No.
Worse record than you had last year.
Answer this. Do you consider 8-1 at the last 9 games of the season regression?
If I look at the big picture, yes. If I look at the big picture, yes.
You look at the last 9 games of the season.
You asked me a question.
You said if a team win their last 9 games,
okay.
That's a team regressing.
Listen, you want me to answer the question the way you want me to answer the question. Let me answer the question. Let me answer the question the way that I want to answer the question. If you look at the big picture, you just said they went 10-6 last year, right? What you want to do, you want to take a snapshot of the season. See, that's what you want to do. You want to take a snapshot of the season and look at the last 8 games, but you don't want to look at the first. You want to look at the first 8 games when they went 1-7. See, management not looking at it the way you looking at it. You want to take a snapshot of the good things, but you don't want to consider the bad things. You don't want to consider the loss. Let me finish. Let me finish.
First 7 games we consider the snapshot.
No, we looking at everything.
It's halfway over.
We looking at everything. We looking at everything. We're looking at everything. You just want to talk about the last 8. We're talking about everything. We're considering
everything.
We're considering the 1. Listen, we're considering the 1-7. We're considering the 1-7 start. We're considering the 1-7 start, right? We're considering the winning out of the 8 and last 9. Who they played against? Who they played? We're looking at the totality. Who they played against? Were these teams have winning records?
The man did not get fired. The man did not get fired. The man did not get fired. What you saying? He did not get
based on
fired. He get fired for what he did.
I agree.
So
I say it wasn't solely about what happened on the field. I said it wasn't solely about what happened on the field. I said, but if he'd have went 12-4, hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm here. Seamus dropped off. Go ahead, Mike.
Listen. We all agree that it wasn't about solely. It wasn't as much as what happened on the field. His inability, because his job is more than just coaching football. As much as we like to think it is, Mike. I coach high school football. You coach high school football, right? We know probably 80% of the head coach job is managerial. You know what I'm saying? Managing personalities, right? Dealing with school management, dealing with parents, dealing with scouts, right? Most people that's coaching the kids are the coordinators and the position coaches. And I can tell you right now, if you can walk a Super Bowl champion head coach out to me, or you can walk a national championship head coach to me, or you can walk a high school championship head coach to me, I can show you a coach that got good assistants. I can show you a coach that got good coordinators. I can show you a coach that got good position coaches, right? None of these head coaches are successful with trash in their assistant positions. So his ability to hire quality assistants probably was, with everything else that was going on, was one of the nails in the coffin. He didn't have good assistants. That shit was without doubt. Nobody's questioning that. The man went through four offensive line coaches in 3 years, and we don't think that has anything to do with how bad the offensive line plays.
Absolutely.
Let's be real. See, we want to put everything on Grill, saying Grill can't judge offensive line talent, but we don't think his inability to bring in a qualified offensive line coach has nothing to do with how poor the offensive line plays.
Right.
Well,
his inability to bring in an experienced offensive coordinator, we don't seem to believe that has anything to do with how poorly Tua played. See, this is the thing. We want to blame everything on Grill because we don't see his players playing up to what we believe their abilities are. But that's what assistant coach is for. That ain't the head coach responsibility. The quarterback coach is to get Tua ready. The offensive coordinator is to simplify a scheme or put in a scheme that can allow Tua to be productive. But he's not. He was inept. I'm gonna use that word. He was inept in his ability to be able to bring in personnel to do that. He couldn't do it. I heard on the radio the other day, they said that one thing about New England coaches and why most of them get fired, because they don't have relationships around the league to be able to bring in qualified coaches. He said New England, they're so isolated. Everything is in-house. So what you do, you find from New England, most time they go out, they bring in coaches from New England. Same thing. A perfect example. What he did his first year. Brian Flores came to the Dolphins. He promoted New England's wide receiver coach to offensive coordinator. The guy stayed 1 year. The guy stayed 1 year. Couldn't take Brian Flores no more. Hauled ass. So we want to judge Brian Grill by the talent not developing, but we don't see the correlation between Flores' inability to bring in quality staff and the lack of development on the offensive side of the ball. We don't seem to see that there's a correlation between that. 4 offensive line coaches in 3 years. Who does that?
Well, you know what this tells me? He's searching. He's searching for the right offensive line coordinator.
But in the meantime, while he's searching, they're playing games. In the meantime, while they're searching,
and really, they're winning games. Listen, all that said and done.
In the meantime, while they're searching, you criticizing your quarterback. You beating your quarterback up for your inability to hire a qualified offensive line coach.
You and Mike both are coaches.
Listen,
you guys know every player on your team is not that top-notch player.
And
and as a coach, you gotta say, hey, listen, this cat ain't gonna get it done. I can see he can't get it done. And that's what Flores was doing. He ain't got no time for that sugarcoat stuff. We all know that Tua was not the man to take them to the next level. We all know that.
Listen. Listen. If we're going to talk about Tua, let me give you these numbers right quick. Let me give you these numbers right quick by Tua. I'm going to let you talk, right? We all agree this Tua's second year in the league, right? This is second year in the league, right? No, this is second. His third coming up.
Second year.
This is second year. This is only second. See, y'all seem to think the man was in the league longer than what he is. This is the man on his second year in the league. Listen, his first year as a starter with the worst offensive line in the NFL. You understand what I'm saying? This is the man's second year in the league with the worst offensive line in the NFL. Everybody says it. All NFL, PFF, all the goddamn statistical goddamn websites say the Dolphins have the worst offensive line in the NFL. This is the man's second year. But let's do this. I'm going to give you these numbers. This is another quarterback second year in the league. This quarterback completes 69% of his passes, 7.9 yards per completion, and had a record of 24-10 in his second year. Right? His second year, he completed 69% of his passes. Tua completed 67.8. This dude completed 7.9 yards an attempt. Tua had 6.8 yards an attempt. This dude threw for 24 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Tua threw 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. This guy attempted over 100 more attempts than Tua. So 2 percentage points more, 1 yard more completion per attempt, and he had 8 more touchdowns on 100 more attempts. You know what that is? In his second year? That's Kyler Murray. That's Kyler Murray. Tua had an offensive line that's way worse than what Kyler Murray. Let me finish,
You
man.
need to stop.
Let me finish.
Mention Kyler Murray in the same practice tool. You need to stop, cuz.
Hey, Mike, I'm trying to prove a point, Mike. They don't get listen. I'm not a Tua fan.
You need to stop with that
I'm
mess.
not a Tua fan.
I'm gonna go pour me another drink.
Mike.
Y'all handle this.
I'm not a Tua fan. Mike,
Can I say something?
I'm not a Tua
Can I say
fan.
something?
Go ahead.
Can I say something?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Say something, man.
Go ahead.
Listen, man. Listen. Brian Flores is the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He see Tua every single day in practice.
Right.
All we see is game. He see
Right.
Tua every single day in practice.
Right.
In practice. And I'm going to tell you, coach, this is
Shaman, we can't hear you, man. Shaman, we can't hear you.
You going in and out.
You going in and out. It's like you talking. We like every bit and piece coming in. Pull your earpiece.
Okay, can you hear me?
If you pull your earpiece out, you can't just talk. Just pull it out. Shit, you should be able to talk. Oh, you on a laptop? You on a laptop? Yeah, we can't hear
Well,
you.
listen.
We don't hear nothing now.
Listen, Tricky Nick, Kyler Murray and Tua are two different. They are
I
two
agree.
different dudes.
Listen,
boy.
absolutely, I agree. The point that I'm making is Kyler Murray's second year and Tua's second year. He is not that far off from Kyler Murray in his second year. Now we know Kyler Murray is a generational talent. But in Tua's second year, Tua had the worst offensive line in the NFL. Let's not talk about the running back situation.
Oh yeah, that's horrible.
Let's not talk about the running back. So my thing is, Mike, let's look at everything considered. The guy don't have an offensive coordinator, man. The guy got two first-year offensive coordinator. Guy don't have a goddamn experienced quarterback coach. He has the worst offensive line in the National Football League. And the head coach is responsible for bringing coaches in on that side of the ball. See, I am dumbfounded to how he is absolved of all responsibility for that side of the ball.
No. I won't say that. I will not. He is the top of it all.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
He is responsible for offense, defense, special teams. Like everything that you say, I agree with. You are more of a manager of what's going on versus the effect of what's really happening.
Absolutely.
Now, you are responsible. If you're not bringing in the proper coaches that's going to make your team go to where it need to go, that's on you, especially if that is a part of your job. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, the general manager, I didn't know that he had that responsibility, to be honest with you. I thought that still was like an upper management thing about who bringing in coaches.
No, that's the head coach. The head coach hires his own coaches. The head coach. So that's my point.
Can y'all hear me fine now?
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah. That's the point. Listen, it's not a coincidence that the defense so-called looks better because there's been more continuity on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to style. But it's been a revolving door on offense. It's been a revolving door with the offense. Tua ain't got shit to do with the offensive line.
You know, think though, like I was saying, can you hear me fine? I want to make sure I'm going in now.
Yeah, go ahead.
You good.
Okay. What I was trying to say was that he see Tua every day in practice, right? And he know what Tua can and can't do. We can look at the offensive line. We can look at the wide receivers being hurt all the time. We can look at or the lack of talent at running back. But one thing, Brian Flores, he sees Tua every single day in practice, and he has came to the conclusion that this guy can't take them to a championship. Now, if you just drafted a quarterback in the first round that early, and he gives you that feeling, then bro, he got to go. And the coach knows, he sees it. But the thing about it is that now you draft him in the first round. Now it's like you obligated to see what he can do. When your talent level as Tua, and they say arm talent, he has zero arm talent, none. And and I'm getting to this point that you made. You can't compare Tua to Kyler Murray at all. Just tell me one time in a shootout has Tua ever carried the Miami Dolphins to victory. The Miami Dolphins win a game because of their defense. Everybody knows that. They win against their defense. So, anytime the Dolphins have gotten into a shootout with a team, when has Tua ever came through for the Dolphins in a shootout?
That's when Flores went to
and carried them.
Okay.
Exactly. If your quarterback can't do that for you, which I think Flores sees that in Kyler Murray, in Tua, no, he got to go, man. He got to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like I said, I think Flores wanted what's the guy Hurst? What's his Hurst?
Yeah, Justin Herbert.
He wanted Justin Herbert. He wanted Justin Herbert. No, he wanted Justin Herbert. Yes.
I think Flores wanted him.
Yes.
And
hey, Mike.
decided they wanted.
Yes, the owner and the GM wanted too.
Okay, I want to ask Mike a question. Hey, Bingo, can you put the camera on Mike? Hey, Mike. Mike, you and I are defensive coaches, right? Yes. You and I are defensive coaches, right? We coach defense in high school, right? As defensive coaches, if we get into a shootout and we lose, is that the offense's fault?
No, that's defense fault.
Absolutely. That shit kills me when they talk like that. Tell me the Dolphins ever got into a shootout and when he led them to a victory. Defensive coaches don't think like that. Yeah. If we get into a shootout and we lose, that's because we let the team down. That ain't because of offense. If offense put up 28 and we lose 35-28, that ain't on the goddamn offense.
But you said
that ain't on the offense. That's on the defense.
Defensive coaches said like 28. If we score 28 points, we win. That's how
I'm gonna get perfect example.
You said it out your own mouth, though. You said you can't carry a team.
Listen. Let me say this. They lost the Atlanta Falcons this year, right? They lost 28-31 or some shit like that, right? Tua throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. How you gonna put that on Tua? They lost 28-31. How you gonna put that on Tua? No, but when you just told me, when they get into a shootout, tell me when he leads them to victory. Shit, he ain't the reason they lost that game.
But let me tell you like this.
Hold on.
I bet you can go to the Chargers. I bet you can go to the Chargers. No, he's not.
Mike, pull the box score up on that game in Atlanta Falcons. He ain't the reason they lost that game. I think he threw 289 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Listen, can I say something? I guarantee you it's times where Justin Herbert defense gave up 31 points and they still won. I guess times when Tom Brady defense gave up 31 points and they still won. But there's times when Aaron Rodgers defense gave up 31 points and they still won. My thing is, he can't carry your team. He can't put the team on his shoulder. You said that your own.
Hey,
that Tua can't carry the team. Right or wrong?
Hey, they got into a shootout with the Cardinals last year. He ain't the reason they lost.
Did they win though?
30.
No, but I'm trying to say.
Defense gave up 30. That great defense you talking about. Defense you talking about gave up 30.
Where have he ever won a game? Where has he ever won a game? The defense gave up more than 30 points.
This is the problem I have with people who they make decisions based on how they feel. I don't give a damn. Listen, my thing is, I wasn't for the Dolphins drafting Tua. Like I say, I wouldn't take Alabama quarterbacks because you can't evaluate them. They got so much talent around them, you don't know if they're good or not. So I would stay far away from Alabama quarterbacks. But you can't let's not put things on Tua that's not Tua's fault, right? Tua has enough things that we can criticize. He has enough things that we can criticize, but let's not put things on him that's not his fault. It's not his fault that we lost Atlanta. The defense gave us.
Listen, man, it's a reason. It's a reason head coach don't want him. It's a reason.
Because it's
a reason your head coach don't want him.
He didn't want him before the draft.
But you know what? I guarantee you, if he came in there. Let me say this.
Hey, Mike, let me see.
Let me say.
Go ahead, Shane.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
I guarantee you, if Tua came, Brian Flores won't Tua. But I guarantee you one thing: if Tua came in there and showed Brian Flores He wasn't that. He can carry a team. He can lead a team to the Super Bowl. He was a franchise quarterback. Brian Flores would not be trying to get rid of him.
Asshole.
No, he's not.
He's
That man got, listen, that man has one job. He has one job to do.
He's an asshole. He has one job. He's an asshole.
He has one job to do with the Miami Dolphins quarterback, and that's to make sure.
You gotta be an asshole when you're the head coach. He's an asshole.
Listen, like I said,
I don't know the man personally, but everything coming out saying he's an asshole.
We keep going back to off the field. I'm talking about on the field. I don't care about the off the field. That man wanted Deshaun Watson. He wanted Deshaun Watson because Tua is not good enough to lead a team to a Super Bowl. Period. Period.
And Brian Flores, tell me when Brian Flores ever led a team to a Super Bowl.
Period. He led a defense to a Super Bowl.
No. Tell me when he led a team to a Super Bowl. Everybody know who run that goddamn defense in New England.
Listen, man, I can't tell. Brian Flores is a hell of a defense coach.
Ain't no drop off in New England defense since he left.
Listen.
Ain't no drop off in New England defense since he left.
Listen. Brian Flores knows.
They still. Hey, Mike.
It's a big jump off in that defense.
Mike,
what are you talking about?
Mike. New England beat Buffalo in Buffalo, completing 3 passes.
Listen, man.
You hear me? They beat Buffalo in Buffalo, only completing 3 passes. Everybody knows who runs that defense in New England. Everybody, right? But the biggest thing, hey, Bingo, and I know, Cub, me and you talk. I know you're a rational dude, right? For the most part, but this Dolphins thing got all us. He kind of emotional right now. But Mike, let's just be real about it, man. You took a quarterback. You took a quarterback number 5 overall, right? Whether the dude can play or can't play, coach. The man is his second year. Brian Flores done went sour on the guy. Remember, he didn't even start last
trash.
Year.
He's trash.
Let me finish.
He's trash.
Let me finish.
He's trash, man. That's why the man went sour on the guy. He's trash.
Do you know any
NFL football, Mike? He's trash.
Listen, do you know any NFL team that take a quarterback in the top 5 and say, I'm done with him before he even play a full season?
Because he's trash. He's trash. Listen, like I told you, Mike,
how you gonna convince your general manager?
That brother that came out of LSU.
How you gonna convince your general manager and your owner that this dude trash and you don't have even given him a full season?
Bingo, listen to me when I'm trying to get you to understand, Bingo. Listen to him trying to get you to understand. Brian Flores sees every single day. Every single day. He see him throw every pass. He see him drop back.
Hey,
every single time in practice, he evaluates this man.
As coaches, they didn't see the same thing.
As a coach, I'm gonna get an example. Mike, remember that little team y'all go to the league? Remember that quarterback used to be coming talking about can't play quarterback at all. He's trash. Remember the worst quarterback you ever had? You was on the phone talking about every single night. You was the head coach of that team. You watch that dude every single day at practice, and you call my phone and trash that dude because he was trash. You seen him. He couldn't do what you needed him to lead your team. So that's the same thing Brian Flores doing with Tua. The man is bro. I see Tua.
That's why his ass don't have a job.
Oh no. He's
that's why his ass out of Miami.
No, he don't have
his ass out of Miami.
Because off the field.
Right. Listen, his
off the field, he don't have a job.
Hey, his off the field issues impacted the goddamn operation of the
No. Brian Flores off the field. Not Chris Greer.
Brian Flores issues.
No. Chris Greer, and the owner decision to draft Tua instead of draft who the head coach seen, who has an eye for talent, who wanted.
That ain't why he got fired. Hey,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
drafted Tua.
I'm not saying that. I think so. Tua has something to do with it.
Listen. He got fired. He got fired because he couldn't put together a quality staff. That ain't got shit to do with Tua.
Can I make one point?
Let me finish though.
Last year.
Let me finish. He got fired because he had a revolving door. Even when he would hire coaches, they would coach 1 year and leave. So he couldn't bring in no good people. And the people that he did bring in would coach 1 year and haul ass. Right? That has nothing to do with Tua. Hold on. Let me finish though. Now, his inability to bring in good offensive line coaches directly impacted the growth of Tua. His inability to bring in qualified offensive coordinators directly impact the progression of Tua.
I don't agree with that.
His inability to bring in a qualified quarterback coach directly impacted the progress of the 5th pick overall. So his failure.
Let me get y'all to understand what happened.
Let me finish. His character flaws. His failure in having any type of people skills directly impacted the 5th overall pick, directly impacted the offensive unit as a whole, directly impacted his other relationships within the goddamn organization. That shit ain't got nothing to do with Tua.
Okay, now let me say
what flourishes in New England?
I'm gonna give you
none of these issues come up. None of them. They had the chance to interview this man, Greer and Ross, before he left New England, and they decided to bring him on as head coach. They didn't bring none of this stuff up. He didn't have these issues that you're talking about that apparently he quote unquote has now. I think it's just spin control.
He wasn't the head coach. He wasn't the head coach. Like me and Mike just said, when you're the head coach, let me explain the
Yeah, but your personality is your personality.
No, it ain't, cuz.
Let me explain what Flores was.
Are you the same way on your job? Are you that you at your house?
Yes. Well,
hell no. I ain't gonna buy that shit.
My job in the house.
You got the same way home as you
in the house. You know what I'm saying? No, you're right. Because I ain't got to work all that other crap when I'm at home.
So when you say your personality is your personality, when you say your personality is your personality,
you're a supervisor. Are you the same way at the job at your house?
Nope. Nowhere near. Nowhere near.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me give you another thing.
Hey Mike. Hold on, B. Let me say this. Hey Mike. Let me tell you like this, right? The Brian Flores since he came to the Dolphins. You know what I'm trying to say, bro? The Dolphins was on that win streak with Fitzpatrick. Remember that? Dolphins.
What win streak? What the win streak was?
Dolphins came in.
What the win streak was?
Remember they won like 3 games in a row. They won 3 games.
And they won 3 games in a row with 2-2. They won 3 games in a row with 2-2.
Can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
But that ain't what I'm trying to get to.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to make a point. With Fitzpatrick, after Tua came in, he couldn't play. They won 3 games in a row. Won 3 games in a row with Fitzpatrick. Remember, Fitzpatrick was mad and pissed off because he was blindsided. The starting job was being taken from him after they won.
And the team was on the road.
The decision. You got to think about this as a head coach, right? Your job is to make the best decisions for this football team to win. Your decision to put Fitzpatrick and leave Fitzpatrick that gives you the best chance to win, right? But you being under to play somebody you don't want to play. This man been seen that Tua wasn't ready. He's been seeing it. Not only like I told Nick before. I said you got
we can't understand you, man.
Yo, he had a video. Can you hear me? Oh Lord.
Yeah, you breaking up big time. I don't know how far you're away from the router. Is it Wi-Fi?
Mike, pull up one statistic, Mike. Pull up Tua record as a starter.
He has a winning record as a starter, but not because of him. It's because of the defense.
It ain't nothing he can do, Mike. It ain't nothing he can do. He got a winning record as a starter. It ain't because of him.
No.
Every game they lose is because of him.
They still get rid of him.
If you're gonna use that,
they still want to get rid of him.
you're gonna use that.
Right.
Flores has a winning record this year
Right.
as a head coach. He has
Right,
a winning record as a head coach last year.
we've admitted that he didn't get fired based on goddamn football. We've admitted that. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many more times we have to admit that. We've admitted that the decision to let him go wasn't just about football. They admitted that.
2-13-8 as a starter.
13-8 as a starter. Got a winning record. Got a winning record as a starter. The man got a winning record as a starter. The man had the highest completion percentage.
That he beat that Tricky Knicks played down. That was so sorry. Can you see
exactly.
the team?
What happened?
There you go.
What happened?
I'm just asking Mike if he can see the team.
He beat a lot of sorry teams compared to you. He beat a
No.
He beat a lot of teams.
I'm presenting to you guys the same argument that you guys, the same argument you guys are using to keep goddamn Brian Flores. Use that same argument to keep goddamn Tua. If you just consider about it, if you just worried about it winning record. If you just worried about it, why? Because all you quoting to me from Brian Flores is goddamn winning record. If you don't say, listen, well, damn it, let's keep everybody with a winning record. Let's keep Manny Diaz, let's keep Brian Flores, and let's keep Tua. Goddamn, all of them got a winning record. Hey, we just gonna keep everybody with a winning record. Let's just keep everybody with a winning record then. If it's all about the winning record. Well, Manny Diaz is still being coached.
All about.
Hey, let's bring Manny Diaz back then, goddamn it. Let's bring Manny Diaz back.
It's all about winning. That's what they say.
Dolphins ain't winning shit. Dolphins ain't been in the playoffs, goddamn it, since 2005. Some shit like
what is that? It's damn sure it's Flores' fault.
When they winning.
But you know who has been there?
Who?
Chris Greer.
Right. I'm talking the playoffs.
Scouting. He became the GM in 2016.
I'm not going to debate that with you.
As a head coach.
I agree. Okay, I agree with you. Listen, and I won't debate you on that. If they let go Flores, they probably should have let go Greer too. I agree with you on that.
They try to give Tua away, man. The other teams don't even want him. They don't want him. They can't even give him what the Texans, they want to try to put him in the Deshaun Watson trade. Texans say, hell, keep him. We don't want him. Give us them picks. I'm sorry, you keep him. We don't want him. Come on, man. Everybody can see. Everybody can see it, man.
You know what? You're right. You know what? And I say this here, right? I don't like, and you know firsthand. I'm not. I didn't think they should draft Tua. Everybody admit, as I said, I'm not high on any Alabama quarterback. But at some point when you draft him,
different now.
But like, no, because the point is when you draft him. Okay, let me say this, man. This is what tells me the guy is I don't know him, but all the information I'm hearing leads me to believe he's not. He's an asshole. I ain't gonna sugarcoat. I won't say an unpleasant fellow, but I'm gonna say he's an asshole. Right? Listen, okay, look, Mike. They say the man was cussing Tua out on the sideline during games. Being a coach, being a defensive coach in high school, do high school coaches do shit like that normally? Do high school coaches? Let me say this though, Mike. Are you gonna cuss out your quarterback in the middle of a goddamn football game in high school?
Nah, the only way he gonna get cussed out if he did something astronomically stupid.
Right. The man, listen, first and foremost, let's understand. Tua is a grown goddamn man. Tua's a grown man.
And he's trash.
He's playing a grown man. I don't give a damn he's trash. You don't disrespect people because they try. I don't give a damn. See, so what that shows me the motherfucker that got a power trip. When you cut this dude.
I never seen him.
Listen.
Honestly, man, I've never seen him.
Because you only see the camera. You only see the camera show. I'm telling what the people they saying.
The
whole thing is, you're in the middle of a game. You're in the middle of a game. This is your starting quarterback. Until you get somebody better, this is your starting quarterback. This is the guy that has to lead your offense. Whether or not you know he immature, he young, he's a grown man, but he's young. And you cussing and fussing the man out on the goddamn sideline in front of other grown men.
I agree with that. Because ESPN said, listen, no. ESPN said a good relationship on surface. What that means?
No,
that means in public.
They say that on surface means shit is one way. You know what on surface mean? You know what on surface is? One
On
way.
surface mean
One
what?
motherfucker
Cordial.
confrontational and the other one not. That
Cordial.
means
Exactly.
that's cordial. One motherfucker be popping off the other
That
one.
means there's not no big issues. No, just saying.
It
What I'm
was
saying
an
is
issue.
that
Got fired. It was an issue. They got fired.
Well, you talk
I
about
agree.
him.
He got fired for off the field issues.
Right.
If you got
Not
Bill
deal with
Belichick coming down on Tom Brady, why can't Flores come down on Tua? You know what I'm saying?
What happened?
So it ain't always pleasant in that scenario. You guys know that.
Tom Brady
You ain't
on the
heard nobody
sideline.
say Bill Belichick.
Players.
You ain't heard nobody say Bill Belichick
players.
cussed Tom Brady out on the sideline during no game.
Well, I mean, I know there been some words back and forth between Belichick and Brady.
Yeah,
Not
they got
cussing
a full-fledged argument on the
the
sideline.
quarterback out on the side.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna cuss him out. He ain't gonna cuss
Not
him
on the
out
side of the
side.
game. Not
like
during the game.
Mm-mm.
I gotta see that. I don't agree.
Type
I can
it
see
in.
Frank
Type the shit in
Flores
the
cussing.
floor. Listen, man.
When we talk about Tom Brady, maybe not in the course of a game, but even Bruce Arians came at Tom Brady a little bit last year about some of the things he was doing. But did he cuss him out? But a veteran like that could probably look at it as being disrespectful.
Right, but Bingo, I'm gonna tell you something though, Bingo. And this the thing here, Bingo. And this is how I feel about it, right? And y'all think you guys right. I believe at this point that he more than likely didn't want to draft Tua. He probably wanted Herbert, right? And I believe when he seen Tua wasn't nowhere near ready as he believed that Herbert was playing better. And I think he had got that in that point that he didn't want to coach that motherfucker. He didn't want to coach him. He didn't want to have nothing to do with him, and he wanted to get him out there as soon as possible. Now, understanding all that, he still fell short of hiring qualified offensive staff. He still fell short at that level there. That is his job.
Well, you know what?
Listen,
just like
that's his job.
Just like upper management didn't allow him to draft Herbert. Obviously, they make the decisions on who they're gonna bring in as a staff.
No. They say
Chris Greer
in his contract. In his contract, he has complete control of his staff. They said that in the paper. In his contract,
let me ask you a question.
complete control of his staff.
That's how that goes. If that was the case, he would have had Herbert. He wouldn't have had Tua.
Not who he drafts. Staff. His coaching staff.
Yeah.
His coaching staff. He has complete control of his coach. The man can't get no good coaches, man. He don't know anybody.
Could it be why he can't get good coaches? Because Tua limited and they can't do it.
Tua don't play offensive line.
No, I'm talking
offensive line. The man have 4 offensive line coaches. He don't have 4 offensive line coaches.
Could it be the offensive line trash that they draft?
Right. He done had 2 defensive coordinators. What they got to do with Tua?
Could that be the offensive line trash that they drafted?
Hey, what they got to do with Tua? Hey, we don't know. Listen, maybe the coaches he hired trash. Hey, Mike, they say he fired one offensive coordinator, and he hired one offensive coordinator, fired the man 4 days later.
Yeah. I mean, no, what you going to do? You got to get the job done. You got to get it right. You're trying to get it right.
You don't want to keep that way around.
Listen, tell me what job as a manager. You got a president, you the manager. We hiring you, Mike. You worked at the airport. I don't know if you still there. If your airport management hiring all these bad people, you don't think the manager gonna lose his job?
Fired. No, that's a fact.
Of course,
he don't get fired.
If you doing too many write-ups and you disagreeable with all the staff, the manager gonna go.
You gonna get fired.
Okay, then I'm gonna give you one, Beanie. Beanie, I'm gonna give you one. You know what you just said, Beanie? You know what you just said? If the man, why Chris Greer ain't getting fired? He fired.
We're not arguing that, Mike. I just say I'm not gonna argue that point because I feel like maybe you should have.
No, I'm saying, but when you say who's hiring whoever I mean, he's responsible for that.
Okay, but I'm not arguing Chris Greer. We're talking about whether or not Brian Flores should stay or whether they justify letting him go. But Chris Greer ain't getting into it with all the assistant coaches. Chris Greer ain't getting into it with all the assistant coaches. It ain't Chris Greer's job to bring in the offensive staff. That's Brian Flores' job.
I'm gonna get into it.
That's
But
Brian
Chris Greer
Flores' job to bring in the offensive staff.
He got the final sign off on it.
You know the general.
He got the final sign off
the general
on it.
manager job
No,
is.
he don't. Not on the staff. Not on the
Yes.
staff. Brian Flores has complete control of his staff.
The GM, that's why he's in that position.
No,
He makes football decisions. And if he don't agree with the coach, he gonna go with what he wants, just like they did with Herbert.
No, he don't, cuz in the man contract, we ain't talking about when you talk about in the man contract, Brian Flores has complete control of who he hires on his staff.
Okay, I hear
Complete
you.
control. That's a contract. That's goddamn contract.
Listen, and we know how that goes. Oh yeah, you got complete control, but I got to find a decision.
That shit.
No, you know how
They didn't even get that man out. They didn't even get that
I
man.
tell you, your name.
They didn't even get.
That's how it works.
They didn't even get a decision to decide who his quarterback was gonna be.
Exactly.
Brian Flores don't have
How can you come straight out and say?
Mike, they don't understand.
I'm just saying.
Hey, who has player personnel decision? Who has coaches decision? Who has
I understand that. I understand that. I understand that.
They got rid of that whole. They had that whole. What was Tenenbaum? He was the GM.
No,
he was the vice president.
He was the vice president of player personnel.
And he was the GM.
No, he wasn't. Grill was the GM.
He got fired.
Grill was not. Oh my God.
He was not. No, the got fired.
Grill didn't become GM until 2016.
2016.
Exactly. Got Tenenbaum left.
Right.
Tenenbaum the GM. We got the GM.
Seamus, you wrong. You wrong. Mike Tannenbaum was vice president of player personnel, and Mike Grill was goddamn general manager. Mike Tannenbaum was Chris Grill. Who was the general manager before Chris Grill? It was one dude, I don't know his name, then it was Jeff Ireland before that. It was Jeff Ireland, then it was some dude. And then Mike Tannenbaum was vice president of player personnel, Chris Grill was goddamn general manager. From 2016 to the
And what has the Dolphins in the general manager of the Dolphins? What has they done? What has they done?
I'm not gonna argue with you.
They traded away all. I'm just saying.
What I'm not gonna do is dispute with you.
Track record.
You need to talk to the owner.
He has a track record. No.
I'm not gonna
He has a track
record. Talk to the owner about why he let Chris.
Mike. Chris Grill got to get rid of good players.
Well, listen,
he has a track.
He's not gonna try.
He got rid of Jay Ajayi. Vontae Davis. Cornerback Vontae Davis.
Defend Chris
all
Greer.
these guys, man.
Chris Greer ran as much at fault.
Chris Greer didn't get rid of Vontae Davis, man. Got him. Jeff Ireland got rid of.
Oh, that was
Jeff Ireland got rid of Vontae Davis.
We can't.
Jeff Ireland traded Vontae Davis.
The one common denominator is Chris Greer was there before Flores even came in the pick. You know, Flores wasn't even in the pick when all that was going on. I mean, Chris Greer was director of player and scouting all the way back to 2006 or 7, and then he had a brief stint with New England up until year 2000. So, needless to say, the Dolphins, we kind of established that maybe it's not a football decision, but again, I find it hard to believe that none of this stuff came up during your interview process, and we know how hard they scrutinize coaches, especially black coaches, when it comes to interviewing them. But none of this came up when they decided to sign him up.
Hey, Cole. So let me say, let me say this, Cole. You was a supervisor at Comcast, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. People don't know what type of boss they're gonna be until they become a boss. They don't know what type of supervisor they're gonna be until they become a supervisor. I know some supervisors now that were real good employees, and when they became supervisors, they in over their head. They can't handle the stress. They popping off. They going off on people because they don't really understand until you get that damn title. You don't understand till you get that damn title. I remember when I stopped coaching high school football, I went back to the park to help. They were telling me, they said, Coach Nixon, and I'm not trying to associate the park with NFL, but they say, Coach Nixon, we need a 115-pound coach. We want you to take over the team. I say, Coach, I can't build a staff because I've been out of this park game for so long. I don't know anybody. I don't know any coaches on the park no more. So I knew I couldn't build a staff. And I knew I couldn't do it by myself. What y'all don't understand, man, y'all really don't understand the importance of a goddamn staff and how hard it can be if you don't have the relationships to put a staff together. Obviously, the man didn't have relationships to put an offensive staff together. And why that's so important? Because the Dolphins invested a 5th pick overall at the quarterback position. They gave two. Let me finish, Seamus. They invested a 1st round pick in offensive line, 2 2nd round picks in offensive line, and a 3rd round pick in offensive line. So not only did they invest that pick with the 5th pick overall, they invested other capital in the offensive line to do that. They invested in Waddle. They invested a 6th pick overall in the wide receiver. They invested all this shit, whether it's wrong or right, in the offense, and this motherfucker can't put together offensive style. So how we going to evaluate Tua? How we going to evaluate these offensive linemen when we invested all this capital in this offense, and this kind of showed the inability to bring in qualified offensive coaches?
And that's clearly his job.
That's clearly his job.
He kept trying to find the right staff, but he couldn't. And because he was working with a quarterback, like Sammy said, he was looking at this dude. He working this dude every day.
He working with a quarterback.
You brought it up earlier about Kyler Murray. We all know Arizona
line coaches in 3 years. Bingo.
Arizona didn't have no offensive line, but Kyler Murray, they were talking about MVP for that boy.
He fired 4 offensive line coaches. He fired 4 offensive line coaches in 3 years.
Well, you're trying to get it right. You're trying to get it right.
So he got it wrong 4 times. Who fault is that? Who fault is that?
That's him.
Listen.
Who fault is that, cuz?
Hey, I've been married 3 times. Shit, you think apparently I didn't get it right the first 2.
Right. But who fault is that? Who fault is that?
It ain't mine. Shit.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, man.
I'm
not. Hey, Tricky Nick, you. That's a compelling argument. I gotta lean on. I understand what you're saying. Now that you put it in the big perspective, if the Miami Dolphins is saying, listen, it's not about what's happening on the field per se, but the results of what's happening on the field comes directly from your decisions. I gotta agree with Nixon. He gotta go. With me, sometimes with me, before I fire your coach, it's just me. Before I say, and that even goes to Manny Diaz, right? Since we threw his name out there, I didn't want Manny Diaz fired. Me wanting him to be disassociated with the University of Miami had nothing to do with wins and losses, because as you said, he won the back end of this year. He's had winning records pretty much. It was how he was losing games. It was the reason we was losing games. It was the reason why top tier talent from South Florida wasn't coming into the University of Miami. It was his relationship with the high school coaches. It was all that. And then things that I was hearing from players and people that I know within the program that had me like, this ain't the dude. He gotta go. So I get what you're saying, Tricky Nick.
Listen, hold on, Mike. Hold on. And I want to say this. Seamus, and you know the same thing I was saying about Manny Diaz. One of my biggest things that I was saying about Manny Diaz, and Mike, I said it to you, Seamus, that he did not have the relationships to bring in qualified assistant coaches. I said the same thing about Manny Diaz before I even addressed the issue with Brian Flores. He didn't have a relationship to bring in qualified offensive coordinator, experienced offensive coordinator. He didn't have a relationship to bring in qualified defensive coordinator. That's why he gave it to his homeboy Blake James, the defensive coordinator, linebacker. I don't know what Blake James, Blake something, right? It was something else. But he didn't. His inability to bring in qualified staff, what ultimately is what doomed him also. Because his football record, he got a winning record. It doomed him also. So don't think that Brian Flores is the only one that this shit ever happened to.
I just agree that. I just believe that he was doomed from the beginning when he didn't get the quarterback he wanted. I mean, he was undermined by the GM and owner. We get it.
You think you call it undermine?
One thing I
call
say,
it undermine.
Listen, one thing I say about Brent that I can see in him, he knows talent. He has one of the best young defenses in the NFL. All those defensive players they pick, they hit on all those defensive players they pick.
No, they didn't. Igbenogany garbage.
Listen. All those one player.
Igbenogany garbage. He can't get on the field.
They drafted 4 or 5 defensive players, and all those young boys are ball.
Igbenogany can't get on the field. How you keep saying that? Igbenogany can't get on the field. That's a first round draft pick.
5? That's 1 of 6.
That's a first round draft pick.
5 or 6 players.
That's a first round draft pick.
They hit on 5. They hit on.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Here's the hypocrisy in it all. Here's the hypocrisy of it all. He mad with Flores. He mad with Grimm because he believe Grimm missed out on goddamn tour, but he missed out on Igbenogany. Got the first round draft pick.
Grimm missed out on tour. Yeah, Grimm.
Listen,
okay,
you want to miss out on the quarterback. That's the one you want to hit right in the head.
Let me say something, please.
Not with the quarterback.
Right. Hey, but how can we properly evaluate them when we got a coach can't bring in a qualified staff that got them do nothing with nobody on offense?
Listen, hey, bingo.
They can't do nothing with nobody on offense.
Bingo. Chris Grimm. Chris Grimm didn't just miss out on tour.
Hey.
He missed out on all those linemen he picked. He drafted. He drafted.
How could you say that? How could you say that?
Hey, what are they doing? What are those dudes are doing?
They've had 4 offensive line coaches in the last 3 years, man.
And I'm not saying it. Listen.
Hey, Mike. If I'm not mistaken, they say the offensive line coach they got this year is a first-time offensive line coach.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
what are they all those guys?
First-time offensive line coach.
You know what you're judged off of?
You got head coaches. Is their first time?
But those guys do that too fast.
Hey,
Cats that ain't even been in the league. I mean, they're first time head coaches.
Hey, listen. Hey, if them
guys,
Mike, that's like saying hire me to be make me the quarterback coach.
Cheers, right?
Make me the quarterback coach.
Yeah.
They're gonna blame the GM for picking them.
Coaches. No experience. They're making them head coaches.
Thank you.
And they fail.
Head coaches.
Bengals head coach. What single coach got?
Yeah, this is first year as an O-line coach in the football league.
Oh, Mike, who does that? Who hires a dude that never coached offensive line before? Let me finish, Shavis. Who hires a dude who never coached offensive line before to coach offensive line in the National Football League? Who does that?
Hire somebody that's a head coach that never had been a head coach in the National Football League.
Hey, bingo. I've been in coaching circles forever, man. They don't even do that shit in high school. Mike, do you ever know? As much as you've been coaching high school, have you ever knew an offensive line coach that ain't never coached offensive line?
Nah, hell no.
They don't do that. They don't do that.
Mike. He's never.
I was your O-line coach.
Period. No.
Hey, Mike. And you wonder why the offensive line is bad.
Number 5.
Let me ask you a question.
Pick at quarterback.
Mike. He's never coached O-line before, Mike. Ever? Mike, he's never coached O-line nowhere ever? At all?
Yeah.
At all?
Yeah, he coached O-line before.
Where did he?
But his first job in the National Football League as an O-line coach was with the.
There's a lot of offensive line. Okay. Let me say something, please. Listen, tell me a coach, an O-line coach, where does he go? The NFL has to NFL for the first time.
Yeah, but no.
Somewhere
you don't.
Hold on. Let Mike finish. Let Mike finish.
Coach. You don't. There's no coach that starts off in the NFL There are Division I schools,
Yeah,
Division
ooh.
II schools,
Wait,
Division
wait.
III schools. It's high
So
school.
Hold on,
I'm
Mike.
asking you.
Seamus, wait. Seamus, wait. Let the man
Listen,
talk.
let me
Seamus, let
know.
him talk.
No, let me talk.
Seamus,
His first coaching job was in
Listen.
2017. Right? That's after he finished playing.
And where?
Hold on.
2017. He was an offensive assistant. Now that's the difference from an O-line coach whose sole responsible is O-line. Like that's your job. He's an offensive assistant, meaning he's helping everywhere.
So he's never coached the O-line nowhere before.
Hold on, let him finish.
I'm asking, has he ever been an offensive line coach anywhere?
He was assistant O-line coach in 2018.
Okay.
For the Raiders.
He was assistant O-line coach.
Right. He's assistant O-line coach for the Raiders. Go ahead.
O-line coach? He's assistant O-line coach for the Raiders.
Hold on. Hey, Mike. Hold on, Mike.
You're crazy.
Hold on. Seamus. See, Seamus, you don't understand, Mike. Hey, man, Seamus. Mike don't Seamus don't understand. Seamus is talking about emotion. This Negro
nobody has never did that before.
This Negro won't listen for nothing in the world. Hey, Mike.
No, man, you been doing all the talking.
Hey, let me tell you what it is, Mike. Mike, I coached defensive line in high school.
You know, he's been doing all the talking. Ain't nobody else said.
No. I ain't you talking to, but I'm talking. Hey, I coached defensive line in high school, right, Mike? I got an assistant defensive line coach, Mike. Mike, take a guess what my assistant defensive line coach be doing.
Watching you, basically.
And they're doing what? They're doing what with all the supply? With all the bags?
Picking up cones, baby.
He picking up cones, putting down cones, picking up bags, putting down bags. That's what my assistant.
That man in the NFL.
Coach doing it in the NFL. Hey, Mike, they don't understand, man. They don't understand. Coach, I can't tell it.
Let me tell you something.
Listen.
You would
bingo.
Coach. This is his first year as the offensive line coach. And his job is the O-line while you got a number 5 draft pick back there at quarterback.
Bingo. Let me ask you a question, Bingo.
All I'm saying.
Bingo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Bingo. You hired this dude offensive line coach. Bingo. This dude don't have no resume of putting the offensive line together. Because he's never been the head, he's never coached, he's never been the coach of the position. He can't give you a resume saying, okay, when I was the head offensive line coach at the Raiders, we had the 10th rushing attack. We had the 10th ranked rushing attack in the NFL. He gave us that. He don't even have a resume to go show the coach. When I was at Tennessee, we gave up less sacks than anybody. When I was in, he don't have that because he never coached the offensive line before. So what resume did he show Blind Flores to get the damn job? What did he show on his resume? The man giving the Dolphins offensive line.
Coached the O-line before. He's the assistant.
Where did he go?
Coach in the NFL. He's coaching O-lineman. Assistant offensive line coach.
No, he's
coaching.
assistant.
No,
he assisted in coaching the offensive line.
Let me make this comparison. Listen,
he assisted in coaching the offensive line. I'm gonna make this
comparison, Mike. Hey, Mike, I'm gonna make this comparison. That's like a quarter. Don't quarterback coaches become coordinators?
You're breaking up. Say it again.
Don't quarterback coaches all the time, right? Quarterback
coaches
can you hear me?
Players. You going in and out.
No. Okay, let me try. Become coordinators in the NFL.
Going in and out.
He say do quarterback coaches become coordinators in the NFL?
All the time, right?
But
yes. So tell me. So tell me where has a coach? He had no resume of calling plays at all. Of calling plays, designing offense, or anything. But he gets the job as a coordinator after being a quarterback coach.
No, that don't happen. That don't happen.
Assistant O-lineman?
That don't happen. That don't happen. I guarantee you, every coordinator in the NFL will call plays at some type of level.
Don't become coordinators in the NFL? Oh my God.
Coach. You gotta go through something, Coach. And sometimes they be coordinators and they consider NFL. They be coordinators in college and come to the NFL and be quarterback coaches and then progress into that.
Thank you,
And
Mike.
at some point,
Thank
you're
you,
gonna
Mike.
have to be
Mike,
a
thank you,
coordinator.
man. We going through all this because of Flores, man. Now we going through my whole background. Got that because of Flores.
I'm finna prove you wrong. I'm finna prove you wrong.
Go ahead.
I'm prove you wrong right now. Listen,
Go ahead.
the officer of the Dallas Cowboys. He played for the Dallas Cowboys. He became a coach. He coached he run nowhere. For the Dallas Cowboys. And then right now he's their offensive coordinator. He's never called plays nowhere.
Right.
He's their coordinator.
Right.
He plays for nobody on no level at all. He was the player. He became the quarterback coordinator. Now, so he didn't deserve that job because he didn't call plays.
Right.
That's your argument right there.
Right. No,
he never called plays nowhere.
Let me ask you a question though. Can you hear me?
No, I just prove you wrong.
Wait.
You said it.
Question. No. But see, do you know what hold on? Do you know what an outlier is?
Come on now.
Do you know what an outlier is? Do you know what an outlier is?
I just prove you
That's
wrong.
not normal.
What is
hold on, Shame. You take one example. Let me say this though. You take one incident out of the whole goddamn history of NFL.
No, I'm not.
Okay, listen. That is an outlier. That is name me another incident like that. Name me another one. Cause you want to act like that's normal. Name another one. Name another one. You said that's a lot. Name a normal. You said that's a lot. Name another one.
Hey, Ken, what Ken doing? Is Ken Dorsey coming? Is Ken Dorsey a coordinator, Mike?
Listen.
Name another one.
Listen.
Ken Dorsey a coordinator, Mike?
He's a quarterback coach.
Let me say something. Listen.
Okay, he's finna be a coordinator.
I hear what you're saying. Right?
Go ahead.
But let me. I'm gonna ask you a series of questions, right?
Go ahead.
They offensive coordinator. You right. They offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys is Kalen Moore. He only been but you know who they. You want to know how long their offensive line coach been in Dallas? How long he's been a coach? Period. You know who their O-line coach is?
I know. Yeah, I know. He gotta get a goal line.
He's been coaching for 17 years. They wide receiver coach 10 years. They tight end coach 9 years. They running back coach 23 years. You see what I'm saying? They put, even though we have a young coordinator.
But it's a lot of coaches. It's a lot of coaches.
Wait.
It's a lot of you said a lot. Name one more other than what you just named. You keep saying a lot. I want to hear this a lot.
John Gruden. John Gruden ain't coach nowhere. John Gruden ain't never ran no offense.
You didn't run offense for who? Pull up John Gruden. Pull up John Gruden resume.
John Gruden ain't in college. Pull it up.
John Gruden resume.
John Gruden. Pull up John Gruden resume.
Pull up John Gruden resume.
I know high school either. I ain't talking about high.
Pull up John Gruden resume.
College or better.
Hey, Mike. He don't even realize. Hey, Mike. He don't even realize. John Gruden was on that staff in San Francisco with the coach that died.
Yes.
Mike Holmgren.
Yes, he was on that staff.
No, not Mike Holmgren. No.
But he wasn't called to play.
Mike Holmgren.
No, he was with Green Bay. No, he wasn't. He was with Green Bay. He came up under Mike Holmgren.
No, he came. He was, but when he went way back to seven,
no, he wasn't.
All the way back to seven. Mike Holmgren, all of them came up under that San Francisco tree.
But he never called. He never called plays.
Mike, pull up the man resume.
He's trying to get you to understand. He never
pull up the man resume. Pull up the man resume. Ain't no that shit that your boy did in Dolphins. That shit ain't normal. What he did in the Dolphins ain't normal. You never coach offensive line to give that offensive line coach
all the time. People, the quarterback coaches, they doing it all the time. Fail. They becoming coordinators.
Exactly. What
do you want to believe? It happens.
Right. Hey, let me ask you a question. In Kansas City, right? Who called the plays in Kansas City? Who called the plays in Kansas City?
Who might be enemy? Might be enemy the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. Well, he called plays.
No, he the offensive coordinator, but he don't call plays.
He's the offensive coordinator.
But he don't call the plays?
He do call.
Oh my God.
He called the plays. You don't think he called the plays?
No,
At all?
he
He'll
don't.
call no plays.
He don't call.
He'll call.
Hey, Mike.
So,
Hey, Mike.
wow. Man, I call no
Yeah.
plays.
Hey, let me say this now, and I want
Mike
to say
Denny don't
this.
call no play.
Listen,
Look at Mike the enemy. The enemy need to go and crawl up on the rock somewhere, boy. They don't nobody respect.
he
That man don't call no plays. He the only one I see talk.
Oh, you talking about George Seifert, Beanie?
Yeah, George Seifert. Yeah, George Seifert. Okay, listen. Let me tell you something right here. Hey, Bingo, and this is the point I'm trying to make with Shane to talk about, right? You have a situation where the dude might be, let's say, he might be the quarterback's coach, right? And you have the offensive coordinator. A lot of times, the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator work so hand in hand that they would allow the quarterback's coach to do installs and all types. See, we talking coach speak. The quarterback coach will actually do installs and stuff for the week, for the game plan, right? So it ain't like this dude is oblivious to ever call the plays. If he's been with a franchise,
but that's not what
an argument. If he's been with a franchise for 10 to 12 years, he might not have called game plays in the game, but trust me, he been running that goddamn offensive practice. He been running that shit for years. So when Shane talking about, he don't do this.
You trying to me, man.
When you talking about a dude, they never do this.
Your argument.
You don't understand.
You said
the whole concept. You don't understand the whole concept of the dynamic.
Where did John go?
You don't understand that.
He was the offensive coordinator in Philly in 1995. From 95 to 97, John Gruden was the offensive coordinator in Philly.
Yes.
You know.
And where was the offensive coordinator before that?
You don't understand.
Was the offensive coordinator before that?
How long?
Southeast Missouri State.
Listen.
I'm sorry. He was the passing game coordinator, which is a
right. Listen. Shane don't understand.
The passing game coordinator.
Right.
No, you told me to find. Now you going across.
Listen. What you don't.
No, he wasn't even
an outlier. You took one case. You took one incident and tried to make that the norm. That's not normal in the NFL, man.
No,
I think what I'm saying. He trying to justify this dude loves Brian Flores. Like, I don't know what. Like, Brian Flores don't want a championship.
No, I don't. Listen.
Goddamn, like, what the hell going on?
I'm not trying to justify.
I like Brian. I'm
not trying to justify everything.
But
listen,
you made a compelling argument.
I like Brian Flores. I'm not trying to justify everything, Brian. I'm not to justify everything Flores did.
Nobody hires a first-year offensive line coach.
One thing I say, Brian, I agree with. Like I said, I agree. I'm trying to hold. Oh, go ahead. One thing I'm trying to say is that I agree. Brian Flores got fired because he couldn't get along with the people in the organization. Listen, Brian Flores got fired because he couldn't put it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Trying to talk.
I mean, you know, when you look at football, and you guys.
I'm saying Brian Flores, he got fired because he couldn't deal with the people in the organization. I think that's.
They was actually getting in the way of what he was trying to do to make that team. He really put him on the right path.
But Mike, no. Listen, you can have him on the right path.
2002. You can have him. He had him on the right path. 2002.
Listen, you can have him on the right path. I mean,
you can have that offense on the right path.
You can have him on the right path.
You can have that offense on
you
the
can
right
have him on the right path. But listen, you can have him on the right path because
2002.
Why you wanted me to
you can have him on the right path all you want. But if it's chaos in the organization, you got to. If you got him on the right path, but if it's chaos with the organization, he got that's like, and I agree with him. He's making a point. In the organization, as far as getting along with players, and it was a coach that just got fired for the same thing. Hey, my coach just got fired for the same. A coach that nobody thought would get fired. He had a winner. Oh, no, my bad. No, he didn't. I'm talking about Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer got fired because he became a distraction in the organization, and they let him go. So it was an important situation for him being a coach. Now you can finish with what 3. But if it's chaos within the organization, then the owner got to make a decision. Somebody got to go. Now I do agree with that, but
it was off the field stuff.
Let's stop putting
down.
so let's stop putting Brian Flores' situation off the.
Jacksonville wasn't winning either.
All us agree that's what got him fired. Off the field issues got Brian Flores fired.
I think we all agree. I think we all agreed on that. I think the difference is y'all feel like he shouldn't have been fired because of that. And I'm not opposed to him being fired because of that. Because I know how important that responsibility is in regards to the position of the head coach. See, y'all, what it is, y'all put.
I just want the truth, man.
Y'all put the X's and O's and everything. But Mike, I wanted you to pull up Charlie Fry, right? Because we talked about the first year offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, right? We talked about that. So they invested all this capital on the offensive line and offense, and he turns the offensive line over to a dude that never coached, that's never ran the offensive line unit, right? So that I'm pretty sure Gridham frowned up at that shit. I invested all this capital on the offensive line, and you give it to a dude that ain't never did it before. I'm pretty sure that was an issue. Now pull up Charlie Fry. It came out that Charlie Fry was calling the offense for the Miami Dolphins. Charlie Fry is not even a coordinator. He's the quarterbacks coach. Pull up Charlie Fry. Let's see if Charlie Fry has the resume to call the offense in the NFL. Pull up.
Charlie
Watch how
Fry.
hilarious this is.
It's so funny.
Watch
because this. He's a quarterback, and he played from 2005 to 2009 in the NFL, so relatively a short career.
Right.
After 2009, he didn't do nothing. His first job as a coach actually was an offensive coordinator at Jones High in Orlando, I think.
At Jones High School, right? Go ahead.
Then he had another high school job with Kevia. And then he went to the University of Florida as the director of player development.
Okay.
And then he was a wide receiver coach, looked like at a D2 or D3 school. I never even heard of this school.
Okay.
Wait, let me see. D2 school.
Dude didn't know nobody, man.
Hold on, Shane. Hold on. Go ahead.
He didn't know coaches.
Hold on. Go ahead, Shane.
Now, this is why I'm laughing. This is why I asked you that. After he was the wide receiver coach at a D2 school, he went to Central Michigan, 2019 to 2020 as an offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. And then in 2021, he's calling plays at the Miami Dolphins.
Who does that?
So at least he was a quarter.
Oh no, but Shane, the point of it, the dude has no NFL experience whatsoever. And he told the dude up to call plays for the NFL.
About a lot of coaches in the NFL.
No, you don't.
I'm talking about even head coaches.
You got head coaches calling
in the NFL.
You got head
a lot of coaches.
You ain't never had a coach in the NFL.
What happened?
You got head coaches calling.
They were hiring
in the NFL.
Name me a head coach in the NFL with no NFL experience.
Shit.
Name me a
who you talking about? The Cardinals head coach.
NFL with no
head
NFL
coach.
experience. Listen. Oh no, listen.
Cardinals head coach.
Listen to this. No, listen. Other than head coaches from big time college football like Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, name me a dude. Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, name me a dude that became a one-year coordinator in college to a head coach in the NFL.
Never.
That shit don't happen. It don't happen.
I thought you
can't give it off the top of my head, but I do know there have been head coaches that had no NFL experience, and this is recent. I think
they were head coaches in college, Bingo.
He was OC,
they were head coaches in college. They were head coaches in big time programs in college.
This man never been a head coach in college.
This dude never been head coach in college. This dude went from coordinator to calling plays in the NFL. That don't happen like that, Bingo. That ain't normal, man.
I can see, when you say college, I can see where you don't have guys coming straight out of college.
Hey, this is first year. Is this his first year, Mike? This is first year in the NFL.
Yeah,
Mike, is this his first year?
Yes, he had no other job in the NFL. This is his first job in the NFL.
But Bingo, this is the point I'm trying to make.
Wow.
You don't turn your offensive line over to a first-year offensive line coach. You don't turn your play calling over to a first year goddamn the play
Yeah, I don't
caller
like that.
in the NFL.
Nah, I agree
and
with
you
that.
wonder why the goddamn and you wonder why the
Why
offense
it
looking
looks
Nah,
shambles.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And you wonder why
I agree with
and
that
they
now.
done
I agree with
invested
that.
all this
That makes a lot
capital.
of sense.
They done invested all this capital in the offense. You got a first-time offensive line coach. You got a first-year coordinator that ain't never called plays in the NFL. The shit is a joke, man. What he did for as good as for as much as you guys praise him on defense, what he did the offense was a goddamn joke. What he did to the offensive side of the ball was a joke.
But the offense. You thing is he inherited what he inherited. He inherited a joke for offense when he rolled up in there. He inherited a joke. And his job, his specialty was defense. So he's going to get one side of the ball right first. But he was working on that offense. And the thing that hindered him the most, I think, is that he knew he didn't have the quarterback to put him over the edge. That's why he went after Deshaun Watson and everybody else wanted to stay with Tua.
But he ain't going to take no responsibility for hiring first-year goddamn coordinator. He ain't going to take no responsibility for
But what
hiring
he supposed to
first-year
do?
offensive line coach.
But what about
He ain't going to take no responsibility.
But what is he supposed to do?
Also, what we don't see
Somebody.
is that
Somebody.
there may be a monetary restriction on how much they wanted to pay. Greer and Ross wanted to pay to get an offensive coordinator. There may be some involved with that as well.
You never hear that in the NFL, man. You never hear that in the NFL.
No. You might not hear
monetary. You never hear monetary restrictions on hiring staff.
You
You never hear
might
that.
not hear. There's a lot of
You
things
never
you
hear
don't
that, man.
hear that happens.
Listen, you never hear that. You
You
never hear
never hear
monetary
it. Cause
restrictions
I'm
on
telling
the
you,
NFL.
you don't hear it because you don't hear it. It don't exist.
Cuz, I can make something up too then, cuz. Shit, let me make something up.
Make something up.
Nah, they don't have money problems in the
Let me
National
go.
Football League. They just gave a coach $100 million. You think they got problems with money in the National
Yeah,
Football League? Nah, they can hire
let me
whatever.
make some shit up, cuz.
You pay garbage, you get garbage.
Yeah, let me make something up then, cuz. Shit.
Finances won't have anything to do with
The reason he didn't have no offensive coordinator, because the Dolphins wanted the people to coach for free. I'm gonna make something up too. Shit. You make something up, monetary restrictions. I'm gonna make something up too.
But let me ask you this question. Think about it. Let me ask you what was supposed to do. I mean, this guy. This guy was a defensive coordinator.
He failed in his. Let
me say something, man. Let me say this. Think about it. What is he supposed to do? The guy came from a defensive coordinator. He had what? I mean, Mike, what? About 1 or 2 years as a New England Patriots defensive coordinator, and was offered the head coaching job. He's not going to turn it down. So yeah, he don't know coaches. But what is he supposed to do? He's going to take that job, and he's going to hope that he gets at least 5 years to turn that program around, that organization around. At least 5 years. Now I get it. Like I said, I'm not talking about in-house issues. We already know what's going on. We're talking strictly on the field. So at least 5 years to turn that around. Do I think if Brian Flores had 5 years to turn it around, I think he could have did it. Because he was trending, they was trending up in the right direction. They were, regardless of what you want to say. They was trending up. So if he had, I think, 5 years, he would have had a coordinator his first year. Jim Caldwell was supposed to be the coordinator the first year. But Jim Caldwell got sick. He got sick.
Point.
He couldn't coach no more. No.
Hey, Mike. Jim Caldwell said he was sick. He was sick of that Negro. He was sick of that
Negro.
No, man.
No, Jim Caldwell was sick. He wasn't even in the league.
He was sick of that Negro shit.
He wasn't even in the league. He wasn't even in the league.
Hey, Mike. Jim Caldwell, who's going to be his offensive coordinator, left, said he was sick, right?
He didn't leave. He never was there.
Hold on, listen. Okay, the dude that was his offensive coordinator did leave.
He didn't even want him.
He didn't even want him. How he brought him from New England with him. He brought him from New England.
He had to do that. Look at the fact that Caldwell was his first decision.
Listen.
Caldwell
couldn't do it. He had to get somebody.
Chiming in this late at night, but we got Curtis actually hitting us up on the chat. He said he didn't care he wanted a different quarterback, and the owner and the GM didn't want to move on it. It's just, I'm surprised we're getting comments this time of night.
Yeah, listen. I agree.
Goddamn hours. And again,
Tell Curtis, hey, listen, I agree with you, Curtis. But the problem is, looking at it from a general manager perspective and an owner perspective, when you invest the 5th pick overall and the guy hasn't even played a whole year, you can't just move on when you invested that type of capital in the offensive line and that quarterback. And the head coach failed to get that staff.
But you know,
the head coach
created that problem. You know who created that problem? But you know who created that problem? The GM and the owner. Because when you got a quarterback, let me tell you like this. First of all, let's look at Tua. Let's look at Tua.
Oh my
Tua
God,
injured.
man, I knew this.
He hurt, Mike.
This is ridiculous.
No,
listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. We ain't gonna be on this thing till 5 morning, okay? I know you and Seamus.
I'm making my last point and I'm done. I'm making my last point and I'm done. I'm making my last point and I'm done.
Man. We've been 5.
Yeah, and I'm done.
2 hours.
Think about this, Mike. Hey, Mike, if you would tell me, would you have drafted Tua in this situation? He got hurt his last Tua, yes. He got hurt in college. He got hurt in college. No, hear me out.
Not with enough.
He got hurt in college. Okay, but he got hurt in college, right? Not only did he get hurt in college, he could not work out for you physically on his pro day. He did a video workout, so nobody got a chance to even see to see what he actually can do. He sent a video out to all the teams showing what he can, making his best throws. Justin Herbert, for all these teams, they see the strong arm. They see all the throws down the field. And he probably worked out for Brian Flores, if I'm not mistaken, right? He worked. Brian Flores knew from that point what quarterback he wanted. So as a general manager and the owner, why you don't back your head coach on that? I don't understand it.
So you done, Seamus? You done? Yeah,
I'm good.
Hey, Bingo, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Mike,
man.
you can hear me, right? Mike, you can hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to make this point. As I want to use one of Stephen A. words. As you just so eloquently said that argument, right? As you said the argument, right? I want you to ask famous.
I thought you were going to say blasphemous. I thought you were going to say blasphemous.
Mike, no. You eloquently put forth your argument on why he shouldn't have drafted to him, right? So that was perfect. If I must say so myself, that argument there was perfect. But I want y'all to ask famous Seamus one thing, Mike. On draft night, who was he saying the Dolphins should draft?
I did. You're right. I did.
Ask him that. As he's telling you how crazy Grant is. He's telling you how crazy Grant is for taking Tua. He should. The dude didn't work out for you. The dude didn't do this. He coming off an injury. Do this. Ask him who he was saying was going to be a superstar in the league, and the Dolphins should take it.
Well, listen.
I did.
No, come on, Bingo, please. I want famous Seamus to tell me who he said was going to be a star in the league, and that the Miami Dolphins should draft him.
Listen, you're right. I did.
You did what?
I did. I said that. I
said what?
That. But I'm not the head coach. I didn't get a chance to see him up close.
What did you say?
I did say he should draft Tua.
You said he should draft Tua. And you said Tua gonna be a star in the league.
Yeah, I thought Tua would be a star. I did.
Okay.
Till I seen him play.
But now, Grill got to be the most incompetent general manager in the world.
No. What I'm telling you, I'm speaking from his
own mouth that Tua gonna be a star.
Because I'm speaking from a fan's point of view. I'm speaking from a fan's point of view.
I remember his word like yesterday. Tua, the most accurate quarterback in the league. He gonna be a star. The cat a mix between what the dude in Seattle, Russell Wilson, and the guy in New Orleans, Drew Brees. He gonna be a star.
He's straight trash.
He's pinpoint deadly. This what this cat was saying on draft day, man.
Yes, he is. But you know what I understood? I'm speaking from a fan's point of view. I'm not, but versus Brian Flores speaking from a coach point of view who gives a chance to see players up close. So I can now I understand why Bingo. understand why he didn't want it. Now I understand why he didn't want it.
And the problem is,
I couldn't see what Brian Flores
decisions from the general manager point of view.
Huh?
You're coming from a fan's point of view. Brian Flores coming from a coaching point of view, and Greer's coming from a general manager point of view.
Yeah, but
general manager looking at all this capital I've invested
guess who's right?
in this offensive side of the ball, and you failed in your responsibility to bring a quality staff to develop all this capital that's been invested.
You know what Flores said?
Looking at it.
You know what Flores said? Flores said you failed by drafting all them trash ass offensive linemen. I told you not to draft and bring over here, and you did it anyway, like you did Tua. That's why the situation we in.
Well, let me ask you a question, Seamus.
He could be saying that.
You know that okay, I give you that. If Brian Flores know that was trash, why he hired an offensive line coach with no coaching experience?
Beanie, that's what. Let me ask you a question. If you don't know nobody, who you gonna hire?
Bingo. If you knew they were trash, why would you hire an offensive line coach with no offensive line experience?
Maybe he didn't have more. Maybe he didn't have options.
Bingo.
He didn't have options.
Bingo.
What you mean why?
If you know offensive line trash, why would you hire an offensive line coach that don't have no offensive line coaching experience?
Because he couldn't get nothing else. That's why.
It's apparent to me at this point.
He couldn't get nothing else.
It wasn't Flores' final decision. It's not. He might be giving some options.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. If you put me in that
decisions on that team, he
Oh,
didn't.
God.
He had to run it through. He had to run it through Greer and Ross. Because if it was up to him,
the table.
But let me ask you a question. What do you want to do?
Let me ask Mike and Benny this.
Go ahead.
Or Tricky Nicks this question. Now you talk about how Seamus was, declaring the Tua the next All-Star MVP for the league.
I was.
At that point in time during the draft, what was your thought process as far as what quarterback they should go with?
He like to hurt.
I said I wouldn't take neither one of them.
You mean neither one of who?
Herbert. Herbert or Tua.
Who are you to take in that spot? Not Mike Jones.
No. I told him. I said I probably would try to trade. I probably would have tried to trade back. This is how I felt. I probably would try to trade back to get more capital. I said I would trade back to get more draft picks. And if one of the quarterbacks fall back there, then I would consider taking them. But I say at number 5, there's too many question marks about both of them for me to take at 5. That's what I said. I hadn't seen enough of Justin Herbert. I seen 2 games of him. One game he didn't look good, and the other game, all he showed me, I think, was in that bowl game Oregon played, was that he can run real good. I think he only had like 150 yards passing, but he took off running a lot. So I said it was clearly he was athletic, but could he carry a team? I wasn't sure. But I say at number 5, that's too high for me to take either one of them, based on the limited information I had. But
when you need a franchise quarterback, how you gonna pass on each one of them?
But I'm not just gonna take one of them, and I'm not sure either one of them a franchise quarterback. I'm not just gonna take one.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so that means it wasn't your decision as a coach.
What happened?
It wouldn't have been your decision as a coach.
Well, when you ask me what would I do, I don't know about the general. And what would I do if I'm the general manager, the head coach? Now it determines. It depends. If I'm the general manager, more than likely what they do, him and the head coach try to come to a consensus on the playoff. If they can't come to the consensus on the playoff, ultimately it's the general manager's decision to make the decision.
Listen, we can argue about all that, and it'll be, somewhere in the vicinity of everybody can be right. But we know one thing, based off the information, it is his job to fill a competent staff no matter what. No matter who get picked, no matter where they get picked at, it is his job directly to fill a staff. And if you know you going into a situation where your quarterback is not only going to be young, but be not as talented as what we need him to be competitive in the National Football League, the bell should be ringing in your head as I got to go get the most experienced coordinator I could possibly find. And I'm going to keep going to get it. I gotta go
But
to
let me ask a
the
question.
best
Y'all don't think he
O-line
tried to do
coach
that?
that I could possibly find, and I'm gonna keep going
But
to
y'all don't
get
think he
it.
tried
I
to do
can't
it?
settle.
I mean,
Shaman, I understand.
I think he tried
Shaman,
to do
maybe he
that.
did.
I think
Maybe he did try.
maybe he
We
tried.
not.
I
We
think maybe
not
he tried
He
to do.
didn't try,
No, I'm
but he
just
sure failed.
saying.
He failed.
Yeah,
We not
he
saying
might,
he ain't tried,
because
Shaman.
I'm thinking his coaching experience in the NFL, far as being a coordinator, versus his head coaching experience in the NFL. He probably just didn't know nobody, man. He probably that's why he kept trying to do it till he got it right. I mean, he didn't know nobody.
Listen,
He did his
But
best.
he failed.
He didn't.
you can put.
I don't think he wanted to. I don't think he wanted to hire a first year offensive line coach. But he probably the people he was going after he didn't have relationships with, and they didn't want to coach with him. I mean, you really that's
National
probably what it was.
Football League. If we put out
Yes.
a Craigslist ad on Indeed
Yeah.
right now for offensive line coaches,
Yeah.
there will be more offensive line coaches with more experience than that dude.
Like Benny said.
Hold on,
Like Benny said. Like Benny said. He
let me say this.
fired 3 coaches. Like Benny said, he fired 3 coaches. I'm pretty
Mike,
sure he didn't want the 3rd coach to be a first year coordinator.
hey, Mike, let me say this,
Fired
Mike.
3 coaches.
Mike, when you say putting out a Craigslist ad on offensive line coach, right? Alabama got a former NFL head coach as their offensive line coach.
Yeah.
Alabama. This dude went to college.
He coached in the NFL. All them
Hold
hanging
on.
together. He no coaches.
Listen, this dude went to college to coach offensive line. And the
For his
Miami
friend.
Dolphins got a first year offensive line.
For his friend. Benny,
The
for
Miami
his friend.
Dolphins- no, right.
For
Right.
his friend.
You know who his friend was?
His friend was the OC.
His friend was the OC. Right.
Yes, and his friend, his friend.
Right. So the point I'm making to you is that there's people in college with more relationships in the NFL than what Brian Flores has.
Yes, Benny, them dudes you're talking about. Benny,
that's a
Benny,
problem. Mike, that's a problem.
No, it's not. Because them
Mike,
dudes you're
that's a
talking about,
problem.
Benny,
When your-
them dudes you're talking about have several years of NFL coaching experience. They've been coaching longer than Flores.
That's the point Mike just made, Seamus.
I know. That's what I'm trying to say.
Dallas
Flores don't have those relationships.
Dallas coaches on their staff got 17 years, 20 years, 18 years. That's the problem.
Man, he's young, Benny. Brian Flores he's a young coach. He don't have those relationships with nobody like that to bring in. You're talking about dudes that's in their 60s. You're talking about dudes in their 60s.
I don't like how we using this word relationship. I don't like how we
using that
word right now. We throwing that word relationship a little too
Curtis thing, man.
Nah, the dudes are friends, Mike. A lot of those dudes are friends, man.
Okay, Curtis, boy, you still out there listening? You must just be coming from the spot. Anyway, but Curtis says there's no monetary restriction on coaches, only on players. It would not affect their salary cap at all. So my point was, I was trying to make he might have hired these scrubs, as you said, for OC or offensive line coaches, but there may be some monetary restrictions there. So he said there is no cap, so to speak, for
he just didn't know nobody. He just didn't know nobody.
He didn't know anybody. Listen, and he failed. That's part of his job. Like what Mike said, Mike articulated that point well.
The man.
Ultimately, his responsibility to put together a competent coaching staff.
I agree.
He failed.
I agree.
And he failed.
I agree.
And as much as you want to praise what he did on the defensive side of the ball, the offensive side was a disaster.
Because that's where he didn't coach at, and he didn't have those relationships. He didn't coach on the offensive side because he didn't coach.
To blame.
Yeah, I agree.
So that was one of the reasons he got fired.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that. I don't think so.
Right now.
Because I think
I don't got no relationship.
Only reason I'm saying that, Benny, because I think he would have had a chance. If it wasn't for those in-house issues, Benny, he would have had more time to. He would have more time to. He would have more time to build the offensive side of the ball.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Go ahead, Mike.
How important is relationships in the National Football League as a coach when we're talking about the Miami Dolphins? You get what I'm saying? I understand relationships. I understand relationships in high school. You understand? I understand relationships in some colleges, in some instances in college. But we talk about the National Football League. Every coach damn near want a shot in the National Football League. You could open up the doors of the facility and get more qualified coaches with more experience than you have. Your only thing was a 1-year guy? Nah.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, Mike. I'm telling you,
To your point,
I don't agree with that.
I don't either. Because remember, Flores has been there, 3 years?
Go ahead.
19, 18 when he came? 2019? But prior to that, the Dolphins had 5 coaches, head coaches? 5. And none of them have equaled what he has done in the time he's been there. So the Dolphins was running through coaches like I ran through 30 draws. Okay? That's how they was running through coaches, and their coaches were sorry. The first hire, and I'm not going to continue to badger Chris Greer because I think he bearing most of the responsibility here, and we're going to see what they're going to do going forward as far as what kind of coach they're going to bring in there. Now, are they going to get a veteran coach who has experience in the league, who maybe has some ties to good OC coordinators or quarterback coaches? We're going to see what they're going to do. Okay, but at this point, before Brian Flores, when Ross and Greer were in place, what did they have as quarterback? The last good quarterback they had was Bob Greasy. That's the last. Shit, y'all might not even remember Bob Greasy.
Dan Marino, you crazy, man? Dan Marino last best quarterback they had.
Well, Greasy was good too, though. Greasy was good.
He wasn't better than Dan Marino. Goddamn.
No, he wasn't. I ain't gonna say that. Greasy. I think Greasy was in like 2002 or some shit like that.
Listen, listen,
Hey, Mike, let me ask you, Mike. Ask your question, Mike.
We put all this emphasis on how fluky maybe Brian Flores was in selecting his coaching staff and this, that, and the other. But if you go before Brian Flores even came to that organization, look what they had.
Bingo,
and I hate to keep mentioning this. The very first coach that Greer hired was Adam Gase. That was the very first coach he hired.
Bingo, let me ask you a question. Shame want to ask Mike quick, but I want to say that when you say what he did, ain't nobody did what he did since he got there, right? Let me ask you a question. And if you be honest with yourself, are the Dolphins relevant in the NFL?
I think they are.
How?
I think they are. If they can't stay on the same path, I'm telling you right now.
I'm asking right now. In 3 years, are the Dolphins relevant?
I would say they're relevant.
They really yes. Last 2 years, yes. The last 2 years.
How? Tell me what makes it relevant. Tell me what makes it relevant.
What makes you relevant is ask New England.
Finish the top of the division.
No, tell me right. Buffalo won division last year. Buffalo won division last year. Buffalo won division last year.
They finished at the top of their division last year.
They made the playoffs. They made the playoffs.
I don't even relevant.
They didn't make the playoffs.
If you're competitive, you're relevant. If you're competitive, you're relevant.
Listen, Mike.
What do you mean?
See, Mike, they don't understand. Listen, I can't make that.
What's making fair? Okay, let me ask you a question. What makes you relevant?
Relevant is making the playoffs and competing for the Super Bowl.
No, it's not.
If you're not making the playoffs and competing for the Super Bowl, you are irrelevant. You are irrelevant
in the NFL. Only 8 teams.
What happened?
That's all that's going to make the playoffs.
Who?
The rest of nobody else is relevant.
Who? If you ain't making the playoffs and competing for no championship, you ain't relevant.
So New England ain't relevant. So New England ain't relevant
in the NFL.
Who ain't relevant?
New England not relevant.
New England in the playoffs.
No. I'm saying.
Well, they won last year. They won last year.
Okay, you talking about 1 year. I'm talking about, we're talking consistency. The Dolphins is consistently irrelevant when it comes to the NFL.
That's true.
The last 15 years.
I agree.
That is true. That's so true.
I agree with you on that. When it comes to the NFL,
even with goddamn Brian Flores, they ain't making.
I think they developed some relevancy these last couple of years.
You got to look at here. You can't pin that on him. He made that team. Like I said, that's the first time since 2002 that team has had back-to-back winning seasons. I don't know what else to say after that. 2002, that's 20 years. 20 years of irrelevancy. Come on now.
Hey, you know what? Maybe if he'd beat Jacksonville, they might have made the playoffs. Goddamn it.
No. Listen, the thing is, they wound up with a better record than Jacksonville. Didn't they? They wound up with a better record than Jacksonville.
And what they got for that?
They got the fact that they wound up with a better record.
Right.
And you know what?
What they got for that? Absolutely nothing.
They got history.
But see,
they got history on their side.
Here's my point right now. They got history. But here's my point right now. The Dolphins have been so bad for so long.
We agree. We disagree with that.
No. Right. No, the problem is we are content with mediocrity. Right? We're content.
That's why we're so upset the fact that we got rid of Flores.
We went 9-8. We ain't make the playoffs. Dolphin fans happy.
That's true.
Anybody happy?
We went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs.
I disagree with that.
We went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs. Dolphin fans happy.
Man, when you trash,
you trash. You have to go 10-6. Let Green Bay go 10-6 and don't get the playoffs.
When you try to compare the Dolphins to Super Bowl,
finish 9-8 and didn't make the playoffs.
Maybe try to compare the Dolphins.
You know what I'm saying?
For the Super Bowl contenders.
Around for a minute.
Right. What y'all doing is Super Bowl.
Your team trash. When your team trash and you finish with a winning record, you excited about that.
Right.
I don't care what you say. If your team trash, your team trash, you finish. I want to say something to Mike. When I get back to Brian Flores, I honestly, in my heart, I really think that Brian Flores and Mike. Do you think he's the youngest black head coach in the league? Do you think Mike Flores is the youngest black coach in the league? Is he the
youngest coach in the league?
Black head coach. Black head coach.
Yeah, it's only him, Mike Tomlin, and who else?
Yes, so he's younger than Mike Tomlin.
And that was it. And the dude from Texas.
So I want to say this. I want to make this point. So coming into the league, Brian Flores, the better relationships. He don't know none of those coaches. Oh, Flores no. Just started. It just so happened Brian Flores got lucky. Brian Flores probably was never ready to be the head coach of the Ducks.
Hey.
Because his resume. But what he did was he showed when he got the job, farthest on the field, so he got the job, he was a hell of a coach. Now, relationship-wise, he couldn't get the coaches in there because he know are like him in his age. The people he's coming up, he don't know them. It would have been a bonus to get Caldwell. When that fell through, he had to go with coaches. Honestly, they probably really didn't want to hire. But if you don't know nobody, you got to fill the position. What are you gonna do? You gonna not have an offensive line coach? Who knows what he went after? He probably went after coaches with better resumes. You know, who want to coach with a coach that they, like Benny say, who want to coach with a coach that they feel like they know more than? Who want to coach with a head coach that they feel like they should have that job instead of him? So, as being a young black coach, a lot of coaches probably didn't want to coach with Brian Flores. I mean, that's he was facing.
Hey, so, Mike, they want to listen. They don't see. I look for coincidence. I'm not coincidences. I look for correlations, right? You know, you can show well certain actions and certain outcomes are related, right? They don't think that there's no correlation by the Dolphins finishing 10-6 and having Chan Gailey as the offensive coordinator last year, all the experience Chan Gailey has. See, they want to talk about Brian Flores, but they don't think there's no correlation between Chan Gailey, 20-something years of NFL experience, being on that damn staff. See, you can't get them to see that because they so blind with this loyalty by
I do see that. But what are you going to make them want to coach no more?
If you don't think Chan Gailey, 20-something years of offensive, we're not even talking about NFL experience, probably 15, 20 years of offensive coordinator experience, had anything to do with them being 10-6 last year
And let me ask you this,
I don't know what
cuz.
to say to you.
Tricky Nicks. Did
No,
Chan
but you know, like you know, my Chan Gailey
on, or did he
left.
get
Chan Gailey
fired?
said
He left.
Did he
Chan
leave on
Gailey
his own
left.
or did he get fired?
He
He
left.
wanted Fitzpatrick.
He
He
wanted
left.
more
He
money.
left.
Right? He left for more money.
No, Big O.
No,
Big O.
he don't coach
He left for
now.
more money.
Where he coach at?
I don't know.
No,
I didn't even know if
He
he
ain't leaving
was
more
in the
money.
league,
He
to
just
be honest with
left. He left like
you.
all them other coaches
Quit.
left Brian Flores.
You know why? You know why he quit?
The
I
Chan
bet you know
Gailey-
why he quit, Big O. He quit.
He left all them other.
He quit because he wanted Fitzpatrick, and they wanted.
He left like all them
Chan
other.
Gailey didn't want to either.
He left. Well, shut
No,
up.
he didn't.
Where you get that information
Fuck
from?
that man.
Where you get that information from that he wanted Brian Fitzpatrick?
No, it was Fernie that
Oh, no,
Chan
tell me.
all the
Don't tell me. Tell me
Pull it
where
up.
you get it from.
I got it from last year.
Mike,
I got it from last year.
Mike,
Chan Gailey, and Flores wanted to keep Fitzpatrick
right,
in the game.
right.
Put
Yeah,
two in the game, came from up
I
top.
want to know where you get that
Came
information
from up
from.
top. Yeah, I got it from last year.
I wanna
It
know
was
where you get that
Dave
information
said it. Look it up. Chan Gailey wanted to keep.
You can't throwing out stuff like a mug, boy.
No, I ain't throwing out.
You
I'm not
can't
throwing
throw
out nothing.
out
I remember when it happened. They say Chan Gailey wanted on when Fitzpatrick
left.
got.
So Chan Gailey left and he
Listen.
had to coach tour.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he left because of that. I'm saying he didn't like when Fitzpatrick got pulled out of the game when they were winning, and they put two in there. Chan Gailey did not like that, along with Brian Flores. So that might be one of the reasons the guy left. Be real, dog.
Okay,
That might be one of the reasons he left.
So you insinuating or
I never said he did. I'm saying I'm just trying to break down the fact that he didn't like.
You're inferring that Chan Gailey left because they was forcing him to coach tour.
No, I'm not saying forcing him. Chan Gailey's there. Chan Gailey's there to call plays and go with the best quarterback they got. So you got to understand what you're dealing with. You're dealing with an old school coordinator from back in the day who was in retirement. This guy probably looking at Tua like he don't. Number one, he ain't got time to develop nobody. He got Brian Fitzpatrick. Number one, his best quarterback is an old quarterback that he feel comfortable coaching with. Then you got the younger quarterback who looks like he may not be good
It's
enough.
unbelievable, man.
So I'm just saying, maybe got walked off because he didn't. They didn't give him Fitzpatrick.
It's unbelievable that you would believe that a guy with 20 years plus experience in the NFL calling offense knows that he's coming to a team that just drafted a player with the 5th pick overall and has no clue that it's going to be his responsibility to develop this dude to play quarterback.
That's what you saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that.
You just drafted a quarterback.
You misunderstanding what I'm saying.
Has no clue or no idea that it's going to be his responsibility to get Tua ready to play.
You just talking. I never said nothing like that. I never said nothing like that. I know I did not. I said I went from the point where Fitzpatrick was winning games for the Dolphins, and Chan Gailey and the head coach wanted to keep Fitzpatrick in the game, and the owner and the general manager maybe the guy didn't agree with that. Maybe he didn't agree with that.
So Chan Gailey left because this year he didn't want to coach Tua.
No, maybe he left because they put Fitzpatrick in the game when he felt like Fitzpatrick had the best chance to win.
So he got mad and left because he didn't want to coach Tua.
All right, maybe that situation. I know I would feel somewhere about that situation. And he got nothing to do with coach Tua.
Listen, man.
I can coach Tua. I can coach Tua down the line. You know, I probably coach Tua, but if we're winning games, you snap the quarterback that winning those games. I'm gonna feel some type of way about that.
Let me read this with Curtis.
Let's get back in here.
Go ahead, Mike.
Let me read this with Curtis. Let me read this with Curtis first, Mike. It said Curtis said, bottom line is this. Did the Miami Dolphins in Harry Brian Flores get what they get when they got what they got? Apparently, they didn't want what they got. Okay, he's saying when the Miami Dolphins apparently when they hired Flores, they didn't know what they was getting, and when they got him, they didn't want what they got. That's what he's saying. They didn't know what they
Yeah,
was getting when they hired Flores. When they got him, obviously they didn't want what they got.
That's
That's
why you
obvious.
go
They
through
didn't know shit.
That's
That's
why
obvious.
you go through
That's
the
obvious.
interview process to figure out what you got. You
That's obvious.
guys been supervisors. You go through these applications. You gonna pull out what you think you want.
Right.
But when
Now
you
it
get
may
them,
not always turn out that way. Most of the time, it don't always turn
they're
out.
not turn out there. Exactly.
Right.
You got
Exactly.
what you wanted, or at least what you thought you wanted.
You got what you
And
got
it
what you
took them
wanted.
3 years.
What they wanted.
It took them 3 years
And,
to
we
realize.
know for a black coach, it's twice as difficult to get through an interview process with these people, with these upper staff and management. We know they got a difficult road, twice as difficult. So, but I will go online to say this: if I don't see right now with all these coaching vacancies, I expect to see at least 4 to 5 black head coaches going into next year. That's what I expect to see. And we talk about people with experience, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, even ex-coaches, former coaches.
It ain't gonna happen, man.
Hey,
I think it will
listen.
this year.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead,
say this, right? Because we talked a lot. We also spoke about, coaches and first years. Do y'all want to hear the progression of Chan Gailey real quick?
Go ahead.
He started off as a GA at Florida. Then he went to be a DB coach at Troy State, defensive back coach at Air Force, defensive coordinator at Air Force. You see how that progression is? Then he went to be a head
But
coach
it's not like
at
that
Troy
now.
State.
But it's not like that now, Mike.
Let him finish. Wait.
That'll change. Man, you be cutting people
First job in the
all day.
National Football League. His first job in the National Football League, he was a tight ends coach in the special teams coach. Then he went to be a wide receiver coach, then a quarterback coach, and then he became an offensive coordinator.
Did he ever become a head coach?
Wait, the head coach, he went to the Birmingham Fire as a head coach. Then he went to Sanford as a head coach. Then he came back to the NFL as a wide receiver coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then he was the OC for Pittsburgh, won the Super Bowl in '97. Then he became the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Back to the Dolphins as an offensive coordinator, Georgia Tech as a head coach, KC as a coordinator, Buffalo as a head coach, Jets as a coordinator, Dolphins as a coordinator. But you see how that trajectory go?
Oh, he checked all the squares.
You come in and it's my first year. Let me call some plays in the league. No,
Mike, let me ask you this: you look around the league right now at some of the head coaches. You think they went through that progression? That Chad did
qualified. No, a lot of them ain't qualified. But that's the era we in
based
right
on
now.
what he did, he checked all the squares. To me, he should probably still be a head coach right now with all the squares he checked.
Right. And listen, and what we saying is that, man, is that I'm not saying Brian Flores is not a good head. Listen, I'm not saying Brian Flores isn't a good coach. I'm not. I've never. I said what I said. Only thing I criticize, I think he's an asshole. Based on that has nothing to do with whether or not he can do the job or not. It seems like he's an asshole based on the stuff that's coming out, whether it's true or not. If everything is true, what people are saying, then he comes across as an asshole, right? That doesn't mean he's not a good coach. But what he does have a problem with is putting the competent staff together. I think we all can agree on that by now. Now, the only disagreement is whether or not you think he should have been fired for it.
So is that problem isolated to him?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Is that something isolated to him?
No, it's not. But I think most coaches that struggle with that end up getting fired.
But these are guys with experience too. These are guys with experience that have a hard time putting together a staff. Is that because?
And I think they end up getting fired. I think they end up getting fired. I think the head coaches that have trouble putting competent staffs together end up getting fired. I believe that.
But majority of coaches that have putting staff together have losing records. So they get fired for losing. They don't get fired for not putting staff together. I said they get fired. I said they get fired for losing, right? They don't get fired for not being able to.
Brian Flores has a losing record, man. Brian Flores has a losing record.
He had a winner. He had 3 years at the Dolphins.
No, but
he had 2 years, 2 winning.
But
be real.
His stint as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, he has a losing record.
He has 2 winning seasons.
He's a losing coach as a head coach in the NFL. And right now, listen, if you took if the last 3 years, if you took all the head coaches with a losing record, he would be grouped in there.
No, he wouldn't. No, he
But
wouldn't.
he gonna have one of the
wouldn't.
best losing.
You
How
can't.
would he be grouped in there,
Man,
Mike?
go by that. The man got
Mike,
2
how would he be grouped in there?
seasons. Oh, okay. Let me ask you. Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike. Let me ask you this question. Hey, Mike. If you go 0-16 your first year, right? If you go 0-16 year, right? And you go 9-7 2 years back to back, you gonna fire that coach? You gonna fire that coach?
Nah, I wouldn't. Me personally, I would.
Thank you.
Right. I say if we just going on record, if we just
No,
going on
but that's what
record,
you're talking
Diaz is still
You trying to group him in with losing coaches? He's not a losing coach. He has a losing record overall.
Hey, Mike, let's go through this. You got a contract. You got an incentive-based contract, right? You got a contract. We signed I'm a head coach. I signed a contract with the Miami Dolphins. In my contract, they says if my winning percentage is over 60% in 3 years, certain bonuses kick in on my contract, right? Based on Brian Flores' record, he hasn't reached that goddamn he hasn't reached his incentives.
But that don't mean he's doing a good job as a head coach. That don't mean he's not doing a good job as a head coach.
He has a losing record as a head coach.
Yes, but he had 2 winning seasons out of 3. That's enough to keep your job as a head coach.
Hold on. And think about Mike. Hold on, Mike. Think about how much losing you got to be doing if you had 2 winning seasons and you still under 500.
No, I just explained to you.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, Mike. Think about that. Hey, you done coached 3 years. You got 3 years. You got 2 winning seasons, and you still under 500.
Hey, Mike. Hold on, Mike. Go ahead.
Walk into a situation.
Exactly.
In that first year, had a winning record. Tell me one.
Every new,
especially on a team that's been rebuilding.
Hey, 99% of new coaches get hired because the teams they come into are bad.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
He's the only one.
Why you making that stat? Why you coming up with that stat?
He ain't the only one.
Why are you coming up with that stat? But why are you coming up with that stat like that? Like he had a good team. He failed as a head coach.
Calling the man a winning coach.
Listen. He has a losing record because he came into a horrible situation. That's why he has a losing record.
Coming to an awful situation.
Okay. And all of them have losing records.
All of them got losing records. Every new coach coming to an awful situation.
And all of them got losing records. A coach that coming to a
so why you calling him
coming to a losing situation? Let me say this real quick.
Why you call him a winning coach when his overall record is
no, listen. His team is trending up. Regardless of what you say, they trending up.
Manny Diaz is a winning coach.
No, he's not. But shit, he put shit.
Hey,
Mike,
Mike shaking his head on that.
Mike.
Man, that hurt my heart. Don't keep bringing him up.
Mike,
Manny Diaz.
Hold on. Let me get this straight. Manny Diaz has a record of 21-15. He's a losing coach. But Brian Flores has a record of 24-25. He's a winning coach. Where type of math come from, man?
No, you know why?
What type of math is that?
You know why?
That math that I like this person.
No, you know why? Because Manny has a better. Many team is better. Many team is better than what he's putting out on the field. That's the difference. Brian Flores' team is worse than what he's putting out on the field. That's the difference.
Everybody right? Hey.
Exactly.
What Denny Green say?
No, man. Stop trying to compare. Man, you should not be trying to compare Manny Diaz and goddamn Flores.
What that was that you are with your record say you are. I don't know if it's Denny Green. It was somebody said that. Hey, you always your record say you. Huh?
Let me throw this out there at you, Tricky Nicks. You know, you talk about Manny Diaz and how great he was, but that team that team regressed. He did not improve that team at all.
No,
but let me ask you, this head coach that they hired, Mario Cristobal, how different you think he's going to be from Manny Diaz with that team, with the culture in the UM?
Okay, so we're switching from Miami to the Hurricane, the Dolphins to the Hurricanes now. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna answer that question. I'm gonna
Three
answer
guys
that question.
doggone hours. We've been talking about the
No, I'm
Dolphins.
gonna answer that question
And we
because I think
probably
that's a
go
good
another
question.
3 hours.
I think that's a good question. I think that's a good question. And this is a conversation me and Mike had. I see similarities in the Diaz hire and the Cristobal hire, which gives me reason to be concerned. What I mean by that is that I don't think Mario Cristobal was the best person for the job. Just like I didn't think Manny Diaz was the best person for the job. When we hired Manny Diaz, we didn't interview anybody else for the position. When we hired Manny Cristobal, we didn't hire anybody else for the position because we seemed to believe that we just knew that these two guys were the right people for the job. So I can see where that can be problematic because I do feel like there's more qualified coaches out there that would have jumped at the opportunity to coach the Miami Hurricanes, such as Lane Kiffin. I think if we'd have really made a push at Lane Kiffin, I think Lane Kiffin probably would have came to the University of Miami based on the money that we gave Mario Cristobal. I'm sorry, Mario Cristobal. So I think that in the long run, we'll see. But the same thing I see with him, he's bringing in coaches from Arkansas, leads me to believe that he may have issues bringing in qualified coaches. So we'll see. But I see a whole lot of this. I see some of the same similarities between Manny Diaz and Mario Cristobal when it comes to how the University of Miami hired them. And now I see that Mario is bringing in a lot of his staff from Oregon, even though I think that there may be more qualified individuals out there for those positions.
But even while he was at Oregon, didn't he lead them to the Pac-10
exactly.
championship game?
Contending for championship every year.
Yeah, so he had some, I guess, some good, credible people in his ranks that he'd want to bring to the U. But my thing is, do you think it was an upgrade? You think you don't like either one of them. My thing, do you think it would be an upgrade from him from Manny?
No, I think coaching wise is going to be an upgrade. I believe that Mario Cristobal, I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. I think his staff is going to be a qualified staff. Many staff, as far as I'm concerned, and what I know, I don't know anybody personally, but just what I see on the field. I seen a lot of things that I question as far as football fundamentals, football concepts, that I believe that there's things that could have been done to make the game easier for the kids. And I think he tried to be so exotic and it put the kids in a lot of tough situations. So when it comes to many issues, I have issues with him as far as his schematic things with football. I think a lot of things could have been done to make the game easier. As far as Mario, I think Mario is going to be better in that regard. But I believe that I think Miami is just going to call it for what it is, has gotten into this thing where they feel like they have to hire a Hispanic to be the head coach of the University of Miami to cater to the Latin population, or maybe to get favor with the political structure in Miami-Dade County or South Florida, period. And that's some of my concern, that they feel pressure that if there's a hot Hispanic on the coaching circuit, that the higher ups at the University of Miami feels pressure to bring in that hot Hispanic, whether it's Mario Cristobal, whether it's Manny Diaz, whether it's somebody else that may come up in the future, that because that person is a good Hispanic coach, that they feel like they have to bring that individual in. That's one of the things that I'm concerned about when it comes to the future of the University of Miami.
Well, you know what? And if that's the case, if that's the thought process, then they're really missing the boat, because it ain't the Hispanic ball players, high school players, that's going out there and tearing up the college league. They're not Hispanic. These are the brothers from Central, Northwestern, St. Thomas. These are not Hispanic ball players that's going out there lighting up the collegiate league. So if that's the take that they're looking at, then they're missing the boat. I thought when they went back a few years back when they went to Shannon, that was going to turn that program around, because I knew Shannon had all the connections down here in South Florida. in all the neighborhoods that most of those coaches probably wouldn't go in by themselves. But with this guy here, he speaks a lot about culture, and so those. I mean, I never heard Manny talk that way, and so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works. What you think about it, Mike?
Let me start off by saying, I personally like to hire Cristobal. I like Lane. I think when it comes to, probably a better, if we want to go apples and oranges with coaching, I think Lane probably slightly is a better coach because he could call plays and he can coach the quarterbacks and he's an offensive genius. The only problem why I wasn't so high on Lane is because I know Lane is only going to be here for about 2 years, 3 years, get hot, and then he gone. You know what I'm saying? I do think Lane want another shot in the NFL. But again, I'm all right with Mario Cristobal. I think my biggest concern with Coach Cristobal at this point is we finally are spending money at the University of Miami in athletics. And as long as we've been crying for that and like we need this, we finally spending money at the University of Miami. They basically gave Manny Diaz a blank check of about $8.5 million, which is more than what Alabama spent on coaches now.
Right.
Right now, Miami got the biggest budget for coaches. And all I'm saying is for $8 million, I want $8 million coaches. Now, if your buddies from Oregon happen to be the best, then so be it. But if there is an offensive coordinator, an O-line coach, a D-line coach, anything that's better, I think it's incumbent on Mario to go get that coach. You get what I'm saying? I want the best. We are finally opening the checkbook. We making it rain for coaches. Don't go get me the normal coaches that you could have always went and got. You got to go get the best coaches you could possibly get. And your homeboys going to have to be off the field. Your guys at Oregon, hey, I love y'all. When I get a position later on the line, I will hire y'all. But right now, they are giving me this job to turn this program back to what this program should be. We are opening the checkbook. We are paying you damn near what? He getting $8 million. Miami ain't never paid that much for a coach. And we paying you this money. And the same thing, like, it's so funny. Like I see the parallels because now with Flores, because you have complete control over your staff. That is your staff. You got the money. You go get them, Tiger. But if they're not doing the development and doing all the things that's supposed to be done to make this program great, then guess what? I'm gonna have a problem with Mario Cristobal. So right now I'm a little nervous right now because we're taking so long with some of these hires, and then I'm seeing some of these hires, and I'm like, another coach from Oregon, another coach from Oregon, another coach from Oregon, and it's like, come on, man, go like. Please let our OC and DC be somebody with some NFL experience. Because when we want to play these big games, that's what we need. We got to be on that level. If we want to compete in the modern NCAA football, look at what you're competing with. Bama is the standard. Let's just keep it a buck. Bama is the standard.
Absolutely.
Do y'all see how many head coaches did Bama have on their staff right now?
Absolutely.
In the NFL.
NFL experience.
Two NFL coaches.
We joking. Why are we playing around? Let's go get who we need to get. He should be looking for Chan Gailey right now. He should be trying to get Chan Gailey to come out here and call some plays.
One of the things I often think about and wonder about is, okay, we know South Florida is producing all the damn talent in the country, the best talent in the country. And this talent that South Florida is producing, the state of Florida, period, they're being coached. You guys were high school coaches. They're being coached pretty good, I would say. in order to get to the level that they've gotten to, these players. Now, what I don't see, and maybe it's because of lack of experience, like we've been talking about before, but I don't see none of these coaches really going after none of these high school coaches that's been doing this for years down here with these teams and this talent. But I don't see none of them getting that kind of opportunity. What's your take on that?
I think that was the nail in the coffin for Manny Diaz, and I'm just gonna be very blunt and very candid because I know like Tricky Nick say we high school coaches, we been in it, we understand the conversations that's being taught, right? The problem with Manny is you're not reaching out to these. You're that now. This is where relationships come. You got to have a relationship with these high school coaches. Also, you have to give these coaches opportunities to the ones that deserve it. You get what I'm saying? It's some high school coaches down here that deserve these opportunities, and you have a position to open up, and he won't even interview a high school coach from down here. That's a problem. That's a problem. And you like he really dirtied his face with the local high school coaches. That's why when Mario get the job, Mario lead a press conference. What's the first thing Mario do? He go to Miami Central.
Yep.
Have a conversation with Patty. Why? Because he understands that Patty and Max at Northwestern and even Harriet up at Aquinas and my guy at Heritage and Jones at Chaminade and all these big schools, Coach Luke at Edison, Heidelberg at Norland, he understands that these coaches keep kids in your program. I have to go out and reach out to them and have conversations with them. And when opportunities come, I gotta bless these dudes. I gotta give these dudes a shot. Manny wasn't doing that. Yep. Manny going getting people from God knows where, and he ain't even giving these boys. You know what? He ain't even about the on the field job. He ain't even about the on the field job. He not even giving these boys jobs in the office. Nothing.
Right.
He ain't giving them jobs in the. What is it really to give one of these, up and coming coordinators or up and coming high school coaches that's doing a good job? Hey man, let me bring you in with player development and all that. Let me work you in. He ain't doing that.
Yeah, just get you in the program some type of way.
You got to connect your program. Mario goes and get my man up out of Florida State just this week. Why? Because he was a high school coach at Miami Central. Florida State gave him a job. He go get him from up there and bring him back here. Why? Because he has a connection in the community. Manny Diaz, on the day he got fired, I want y'all to take a wild guess of how many kids from South Florida that Manny Diaz had signed in this current class on the day he got fired. Anybody?
I'll say 0.
One. Linebacker from Miami Central. One kid. It just like you said, Bingo, you are in the hotbed of high school football. Nobody per capita put out more talent than South Florida. And you got one kid? That's ridiculous. And that's why, and like I say, for me personally, your job is not necessarily based off wins and losses. Because you're going to win and you're going to lose. You know what I'm saying? You're going to win, you're going to lose. Somebody got to win, somebody got to lose. We just, as fans of the program, we just hope and pray that you win more than you lose. I could take a loss, but I can't take losses based on your decisions and your actions on and off the field. I can't take them losses. You know what I'm saying? When you're not recruiting properly, bringing the kids in that we need, then we watching the same kid. Case in point, Appalachian State. We barely beat Appalachian State. Why?
You were satisfied with it too.
Why? We jumping up and down. Woo! We beat Appalachia. That's Appalachian State.
Satisfied.
We supposed to kill these people.
Wow.
We need to go for it. Our team we struggling to get down the field. We're trying to win the game. What we do? Kick a field goal and miss and lose. I can't take that. 4th and 14. Everybody, 4th and 14. We give up 4th and 14 to Florida State. You can't blame that on nobody else because you call the defense. It's you. You give up 4th and 14 and we lose. Wasn't about all that, man. It's 4th and 14. This is how we finna lose a football game. That's direct. That's you. So you got to fire the defensive coordinator, right? Just so happy being the head coach. So I mean,
about the 90-yard touchdown. Alabama.
Come on, man. Like, what are we doing out here?
That was crazy.
Crazy. We got kids, and I think, you know, I don't want to talk too long because I can go. I'm very passionate about the university. And I go on and on and on about.
We can definitely continue this on another day and time, but you know, it's definitely good information you're throwing out there. And I was always curious as by why we didn't see more of the local coaches, high school coaches. And these high school coaches got in touch with the Pop Warner leagues and everything. So they're basically raising football players down here, but yet they weren't. To me, they weren't getting the opportunity to, unless they just didn't want it. But they weren't really getting the opportunity to expand on what they had started and had been involved with for so long. So, what do you think, James?
I don't want to take too much time. I just want to say this. As one of my biggest things that my concerns that I always said is that until the University of Miami deans and management and everything else begin to treat the University of Miami like Alabama, or view it like Alabama, like Ohio State, then the culture was never going to get back to the way that it used to be. You know, but we were spending little money on coaches, hardly anything on facilities and things like that. Now with the commitment that they've made as far as the money to Mario Cristobal, the commitment that they've made, the $8 million to coaches and things like that. Like Mike said, it doesn't do any good for Mario to bring in his assistants from Oregon just to give them raises. You know, now that defeats the purpose. If they're going to give that amount of money for you to bring in assistant coaches, then you need to bring in qualified assistant coaches. And that takes me back to Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is a former NFL head coach. Get him back to those relationships. If there's anybody in college football that can bring in quality assistants, coordinators, position coaches, the tenure that Kiffin has had in the NFL and as well as college football, he has access to those type of individuals. And that's what I'm saying is that we have to look at that when we're hiring coaches and need to start viewing the University of Miami like Alabama. Definitely, if we want to compete with Alabama, like Mike said, Alabama is the standard. If we want to start competing with Alabama, we have to do what Alabama do. You know, we can't continue to do business as usual thinking we're going to miraculously turn it around. No, we look at what Alabama is. If Alabama is the model, then we need to model the University of Miami behind Alabama. If that means going to get coaches from the NFL or with NFL experience, then we need to do that. But like I said, just going to get assistant coaches from Oregon and giving those guys raises because they cool with you and things like that. No, that's a concern because that's all that's coming out right now. All these coaches he's hiring are coming from the University of Oregon. Yeah, that's a real concern. That's a real concern.
Don't. It ain't no coincidence that the only people that beat Nick Saban is who? Kirby Smart, which is from Alabama, and Jimbo Fisher, who coached with Saban before. So he know the blueprint of what Alabama got going on. And you said something to me, Tree Nick, that once you said it to me, then I repeated it and I was like, damn, that makes sense. And that was, if I'm Mario Cristobal and I'm making my hires, my number one question would be, would Nick Saban hire you? And the answer is yes, then let's go. And the answer is no, I'm going to the next person.
Absolutely.
I think the difference I actually like what Cristobal doing. The difference between Cristobal and Manny is that Cristobal proved that he can turn a program around. He went up there to Oregon. He turned that program around. He had that program basically contending for a national championship every year. You know, what I mean, they had one of the highest recruiting classes almost every year toward the end of his career there. So I'm thinking to turn the program around, like Oregon, you got to have some quality coaches. So I'm thinking like, I mean, yeah, he's gonna bring coaches from Oregon, coaches that he's familiar with, that he know. So he's gonna get some coaches from Oregon. He hired a couple coaches from other places too. But for the most part, Cristobal, as far as being compared to what Manny did and what he's doing, I think me personally, I'm thinking it's gonna be apples and oranges because Cristobal, he's a hometown kid. He's from the U. He know what it takes, and what he's gonna do, he's gonna lock South Florida down first. He said it. He locked South Florida down first. Then we're gonna work our way up. So, me personally, man, I love the hire. I think Cristobal gonna do a great job. You know what I mean? So,
too, but he's scaring the shit out of me.
And I think there is a difference when you say turning Oregon around and competing against Alabama and Georgia for national championships is totally different.
Yeah, I know it is. But I mean,
you can turn Oregon around, but if you take what Mario Cristobal did and you put them Oregon teams up against Alabama and Georgia, they gonna be pretty.
No, but I think
they get massive.
I think Oregon around versus around is a whole nother ball game. You turn Oregon around, you just gonna get some players. But turn around, it's kids want to come to the U already. It's just the fact that if you're not winning versus coach there, but if you got games every year, you winning the you got some couple of championships under your belt. You might have went to a playoff game here and there. You just at the cusp of playing for a championship. Just for itself, man. When you on top, kids coming. Prove it.
Nixon, listen. They didn't bring him here and gave him $8 million for him, and then $8 million for assistant coaches, and then buy him out of his contract at Oregon to come here and turn shit around. We don't need you to turn shit around.
No.
We want to be in the college football playoffs.
Yes. I'm talking about the process.
In the college football playoffs, you got to be built like Bama. You got to be built like Georgia.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you're gonna have to be built like Texas A&M.
Yeah.
We bring you here to do I want to win an ACC championship? Yes, I do.
No, but that's what I meant, Mike. I meant the process. I meant the process.
Oh yeah,
the process.
Don't. I ain't getting in love with the process because that's not why you.
No. I'm speaking on the process to get to that level. You get kids that want to come, and once the kids start coming, it's going to level of Georgia and Alabama. You know what I mean? But you got to crawl before you walk first. You know what I mean?
Let's touch on something right quick, and because I know it's a touchy situation. I know we got to go, and I think I had the conversation with Mike, maybe James before too. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. We don't want to realize how much this race thing play in recruiting these kids, but I'm gonna be honest with you, man. To go in the Midwest and get them white boys to play offensive line, them big white boys to play offensive line, I'm sorry, man. It's gonna have to be some experienced white coach that they can relate to. And they might say, oh, you reaching and stuff like that. Listen, man, I'm just gonna be honest. Tell me how many top quarterback, let's say top white quarterbacks, go to black head coaches in college football. Can you think of any? Like how many, like, the top recruited white coaches in college football, do they go to black head coaches or minority coaches? I don't think so. And you got the top offensive line kid,
like white black head coaches.
Right. You got the top white kid on the offensive line that's being recruited from Ohio, Nebraska, somewhere up in there, I hate when they go into these homes, Mike, when you go into these homes, it has to be some type of relatability, man. It just have to. In order for you to convince them kids to get there. Parents got to become, unless the kid is a legacy kid or somebody that always wanted to go to the school and stuff like that. But if you're trying to pull these kids these top kids in your school, you have to be able to hire people that can get to them kids. You have to be able to hire people that can get to them kids. You know, we think about when Randy Shannon was there, and the majority of all them offensive linemen, so we had a lot of good black offensive linemen, offensive line kids that came out. Randy was able to go in them households and relate to them kids from Northwestern and stuff like that, and they would be able to get them kids. There has to be a relatability factor, man. And I'm just saying, when putting the staff together, all that type of stuff should be considered. Like, if you got to go in the Midwest and get kids that can play offensive line for you, you got to be able to hire coaches that can go in there and get them kids. You know,
let me ask you this, Tricky, next. With that being said, with Mario, because he's coming from the West Coast, do you think he'd be able to reach out to those? Obviously, you know, he's popular on the West Coast. So there's some West Coast ball players that typically you won't see come to Miami. And so now maybe he might still have that connection in that particular area. Maybe the Midwest, he might have a little reach there to get what you say that maybe the Canes may need to put together the kind of team that they're going to need to be, because we know the Canes ain't been able to run a football in quite some time. And so with him coming from the West Coast and being a natural player right here at the U, and understanding the culture, maybe he can mix the both together and actually get them to the point where obviously you got to build your team to be somebody from the SEC. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance. If your team ain't built to beat any of those teams in the SEC, you can forget it. And that's where we talk about the talent. A lot of the talent from down here, where you find them boys at? In the SEC.
Yeah.
That's where his challenge is going to be. But I give him this because, like I said, he's out in Oregon, Pac-10, so he's got a little bit of touch and feel for some of the stuff out there, and he's got a name out there, so he may be able to bring those missing pieces that you might need that they might not normally get. Just recruit right here.
He has to be very careful.
You got to have talent. And you got to be able to compete in the SEC. That's all. That's your only goal. Let me be able to compete in the SEC. And if you can do that, you got a shot at the championship.
You got to be very careful, because we, as coaches, we watching that. You know what I'm saying? If I got a kid that want to go to the University of Miami, that's a local kid that can get on the field and compete, and then you go way to California and go get a kid that's basically going to do the same thing, that's a problem. That's a problem. So he got to be very careful what he go out there and get. When you leave up out of here and go get somebody from somewhere else, they got to be a bona fide stunner. You hear me? They got to be hands down, everybody looking at this kid like, God damn, y'all got him? Versus, wait, hold on, it's a kid over here at Palmetto that do the same thing. Why you ain't go? So you got to be very careful. It's a fine line you got to thread, because if it's a kid at Miramar that's a wide receiver and he run a 4.3 and he got great hands and he doing all that, and you don't offer him, but you go way out to Texas and offer a kid out in Texas, that's a problem. That's a problem. They'll lock the fence on you. So you got to be very careful.
Coach,
I don't think he's gonna have that problem though, man. I don't
back the relationship.
Cristobal is a hell of a recruiter, man. I don't think he's not many. Cristobal,
He not.
He turned Oregon program around strictly off recruiting. So I mean, you talking about somebody gonna get out there and go get them kids? That he improved it, and that's the thing I like about him, because when he first got to Oregon, I mean, what am my mistake? Oregon won 4 games a year before he got there. I think it was 4 games. Hey man. He turned out around strictly off recruiting by Oregon. One of the top recruiting class in the nation every year. I mean, getting out there, getting kids, whether it be from here or up there. So when you come to UN, I just feel like me as a UN fan, bro, man, when you on top, ain't nothing like it, bro. It ain't nothing like it, man. Them kids come. They coming, bro. I don't care. When you on top, they coming, man. They coming.
They coming. I agree with you on that, but you know, again, we can't. I like, as much as I credit Manny Diaz a lot for why, you know, the program ain't where I want it to be. we cannot say Manny Diaz left the cupboard bare. All right, he ain't leave the cupboard bare. So he got some stuff. He got some players. So Mario, as much as everybody love him, and again, I'm a fan of Coach Cristobal. I can't sit here and cap and say I'm not. I'm a fan of Coach Cristobal. What I'm saying to you is, why everybody want to give you 3 years and all that, you don't have that long with me.
No, real short
with me.
He didn't compete for the ACC championship this year.
Hey man, Monday, did you see that? Did you see that best safety that was up on the podium for Georgia? Number 17.
That's a linebacker.
That was no, it was a safety. That hit that game.
Wait, I say that's Dean.
Not Dean. No, Dean number 7. And ain't no dude. That's with the dread. Who was up there? Who smacked? I said, I got them safety do not look like that. Our safety do not look like that.
Yeah,
our football team don't look like that.
Difference, like the safety that caught the pick and ran it back for a touchdown. I'm like, man, our safety don't look like that.
Those dudes at Alabama, have NFL bodies right now.
Totally different, man.
Miami look like they just came out of high school. They built like they just came out of high school.
You'll know when the recruiting and everything is back where it be is when them kids sit down at that table and you see a Georgia hat and a Bama hat and a Clemson hat and all Ohio State hat and a Miami hat, and he picking up the Miami hat, putting it on his head. I don't want to compete with a kid that going to NC State and all these other people. Damn that. You can have them. I want the kids that Bama want. Yeah. Because apparently
I want cats that look like number 31, number 99. 31 for Alabama, number 99 for Georgia.
Where they coming from, though?
I want cats that look like that.
What region of the country
I
are they coming
from? Bro, I don't know, but boy.
And let me tell y'all.
Them dudes are grown men, man. Them dudes grown men.
Let me tell y'all something that happened. Kind of talking about what y'all talked about. Tell y'all something happened to us when we were doing 707s in Orlando. We took the school, me and my football players to Orlando to do a 707 when they were just doing it with regular high school kids. So we get the Orlando Wide World of Sports. So we maybe have about 20 high school teams. And it's just like that. These are literally the teams that we're taking up there to compete in the 707. So at the same time we're competing, ESPN had a 707 for the ESPN top 150 high school football players. So this is literally the cream of the crop. ESPN top 150. They have 2 fields. We're on one field, they're on another field, but when they feed us, they feed all us together, right? So ESPN top 150 come down the sidewalk, we coming down the sidewalk. And when I tell you, man, it literally looked like we were starving our kids. When we see ESPN top 150, how big them damn kids was, it looked like our kids had eaten in about 2 months, man. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that this was 15 and 16-year-olds. I was like, I told Coach Carter, I say, they must be making these kids in the laboratory somewhere, man. I couldn't believe how big these kids were at 15, 16. So there is truly a difference. When you're talking about ESPN top 150, these 5-star athletes, they are not the normal size of your regular high school football player. These kids already have grown men bodies. These kids at these schools have grown men bodies. So that showed me then that it's a totally different type of person that play D1 football and NFL, man. Like the bodies are different. Everything is just different. It's like they're not normal kids. Football is a big man game, so you have to have big people. Or if they're small, they have to be exceptionally fast, running 4.3, 4.2 40s. It's like it's a land.
So they're coming straight out of high school that way, or they once they get to wherever
they're already business. They're not getting recruited. They're not getting recruited by Alabama and Georgia unless they're already that big.
Oh, okay.
No, they're not making them that big when they get there. They go.
They're already that big.
Bama making them bigger.
They getting bigger when they there. They going there that big. Like me and Shane was talking about. Me and Shane was talking when Alabama was playing in Miami. You look at Miami linebackers. Miami linebackers was 5'11", 220 pounds. Alabama linebacker was 6'5", 245, 250. Like
running like a deer.
Yeah, running like running backs. It's like that ain't normal, man.
You're totally different, man.
That ain't normal.
I knew that game was
really,
over when we played
as
Bama.
your scouting crew, your scouting team, you send them out there. Okay, I need these kind of players. I need physique wise, and still have the same talent. You got to find them because they're there. They're out there. Alabama got them. Most of those teams in the SEC got players like that. But what's coming? And that's what I noticed about the U last year, man. There's a reason they were missing so many damn tackles. They couldn't tackle nobody. To me, they was always undersized. Yeah. These teams that was running through them, they was, to me, they was just wasn't big enough, and that's why they was missing so many damn tackles. But it's gonna be interesting, man. We all want to see the U get back on top, and we're gonna see what Mario's gonna do. Curtis seemed to think that the coaches they get paid, obviously.
No, we don't get paid, man. They don't get paid because they get a stipend. They get a $1,500 stipend for 6 months. That's all they get for coaching 6 months. They get about a $1,500 stipend. If that.
That's it.
Yeah, did it go up, Mike? It probably went up some.
It go up now, but
yeah, $1,500 for 6 months. That's it. Texas pay their coaches. Like Texas pay their coaches like your boy Curtis saying. Texas pay their coaches, they coordinators, their head coaches make over $100,000 a year in Texas. Coordinators and assistant coaches probably make about $30,000, $40,000. State of Florida get their coaches a stipend, $1,500, $1,600 for 6 months.
You mean like you mean like separate from if you work at the school?
Yeah, you work at the school, you just get a stipend, a $1,600 stipend. Oh, okay. You get a check. You get $800 the first 4 months. You get $800. You get $800 after 3 months, and then you get the other $800 when the season over. That's it.
Man, wow.
You only got.
That being said, I would think, man, that some of these high school coaches down here, that's been leading their teams to the state championships for years. It ain't no fluke thing. This has been consistency. Damn, I be looking to get paid more somewhere, man. At some point, somebody got to.
You just want the opportunity. You just want the opportunity. That's it. And they don't give nobody no opportunity. They do not give nobody no opportunity.
No, so once you in that circle, man, you in that circle. Like them opportunities don't come open often because once you actually get into coaching college football, like you in that fraternity, man. You in that fraternity, and it's just revolving. You get 5 from this job, go to that job. You get 5 from this job, go to that job. It's just revolving until you don't want to do it no more.
We producing all the kids that's helping you keep your job.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's crazy, man.
Now,
actually, he said he was on the staff at Alabama at some point, and then he left Miami. He actually left Miami to go to Alabama.
Right. FIU job, he came to Miami, and he was at Miami like a couple of weeks. He wasn't here long. He was only at Miami a couple of weeks, and Nick Saban came and got him.
Oh, this dude here?
That's how.
No. Yeah. Cristobal.
Okay. Yeah.
Cristobal was only at Miami a couple weeks.
He spent some time at FIU also?
He was the head coach at FIU for many years.
Head coach at FIU. Okay. But that was Mike talking about, that progression. See, that we talking about that progression, man. It's like, you like that's what I was telling you, Seamus. That ain't the norm. Like what you said about the Dallas Cowboy offensive coordinator, like that's an outlier. Like that's truly not the norm. Most dudes that get them opportunities, because them opportunities don't come that often. They've been in the game for a long time, especially before they get to the NFL. You talking about like that's like hitting a lotto. Once you reach the NFL, every high school, not every high school coach, most people that coach football, the pinnacle of their success is to get on the NFL staff. Once you get to that level, man, it's like hitting a lotto. And you find most dudes, they go through the whole progression. They've been in this game 15, 20 years before they get the opportunity to be a quality control coach at the NFL level. Then they go from quality control coaches to assistant position coaches and stuff like that. College, they become GAs and other stuff like that just to be able to get on the staff. and eventually they move through once they're there. But yeah, it's like
That's why I like Cristobal, man, because he's a legitimate head coach. He's a legitimate head coach that know how to run a program, gonna trust his assistants in doing their jobs. He gonna make sure everybody's held accountable. He's not an assistant. He's not a coordinator trying to be a head coach. He's not that. He's a legitimate head coach that's gonna run a team and run a program. So let me see what he's gonna do.
I'm curious to see what he's gonna do, man. Because you know what, I got off the U bandwagon a while back, and boy, look here, I'm getting ready to get. I'm off the Dolphin bandwagon. I'm kind of curious to see what the hell they're gonna do going forward. It took me 10 years to get back on that wagon when I was off of it before, but
I'm off it right now.
What we need the U, and we need the Dolphins, man. In particular, the U. I think the U would be even bigger if they can come back to to the supreme type of team that they were, more so than the Dolphins. So, but we got the Heat.
Good news I heard today about the Dolphins. They say one of the front runners for the Dolphins, and it may not. I'm not sure about it, but because they say he come from the Belichick tree, but they say one of the front runners for the Dolphin head coaching job is Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels. Yeah, they say he's one of the front runners for the Dolphin head coaching job. They say.
Well, he's in New England right now, right?
He's in New England right now.
There?
Yeah, he's the OC. They say he's one.
Okay, that's the same guy. That's the same guy you talking about when Matt Jones only threw 3 passes in the game.
Now we're gonna have a good offense and a siren defense.
But anyway, hey, listen, guys, man, y'all kept me up this too damn long. It's 3:30. We've been on this for 3.5 hours. We didn't even get to the NBA. We didn't even get to Antonio Brown and his nonsense. So we're gonna have to pick this up on the next broadcast. What's gonna be a good time and date before we can go ahead and
Hey, we talk, Bingo. We'll talk about that off the phone, man. That's gonna take a whole nother time. We just start calling and we'll get together with a time, man, and we'll go from there. All
right. Well, at least we all know what connections and what we need to do, because that took us a while to get connected. Everybody get connected, so we'll get that out of the way, and we'll target something. Let's see, maybe next weekend, next week sometime on the weekend or Friday, Saturday. We definitely gonna have to touch bases on the like I said, NBA. We didn't even get there, and of course, right now the MVPs and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna have the playoff games, the wild card games start tomorrow. So we'll have some new material to run out there. But I appreciate everybody hanging in there, standing there, and I'm surprised we still got. Looks like we got 2 viewers still out there. I know Curtis still, boy. Curtis, you need to go on and go to bed, boy. I know your wife's sitting there to wonder why you sitting in the driveway and ain't came in the house yet. But anyway, but listen, brother, appreciate everybody joining. And like I say, we definitely touch bases next week and see what we're gonna set up. Y'all down?
You sound like a plan to me, cuz. All
right. Well, with that being said, let me go ahead and hit y'all with the outro so we can get going.
Let's go, Dolphins. Let's get it right, Dolphins. Let's get it right, baby.
Let's go, Dolphins, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mike, famous Shane, Bingo. Been a pleasure, man. Talk to you guys later.
Likewise, man. Likewise. And like I said, we'll definitely get back on this again next week and see what we can come up with. All right? If y'all got any ideas, anything you want to throw out there, get in the conversation. Let me know. We'll put it. We'll go ahead and put it on the air. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I gotta take me some aspirin. Y'all done gave me a headache.
All right. All right, brothers. Y'all be easy. Take care. Later.